Chapter 1959. Does Grandmaster already know that the blood sword fruit was refined by the blood demon killing God sword? Lightly shaking his head, Su Yi's eyes were filled with coldness as a powerful aura burst out of him. The five-legged golden flame beasts in front of him roared, their fierce eyes filled with fear and dread. Their huge fangs were grinding against each other, but none of them dared to step forward. The blood chi and sword aura that burst out just now made the rest of the beasts tremble in fear. Su Yi lifted the corner of his mouth and gently placed his hand on the back of the blood demon killing God sword. The faint blood-red pattern was suffused with brilliance, and the slightly cool sword body was suffused with a demonic pattern. After devouring the blood sword fruit under the broken sword sea, the uncontrollable bloody aura of the gore fiend killing God sword was much better than before, but it also had an additional mysterious aura. Familiarize yourself with the heavy sword, communicate with the sword spirit, and cultivate the sword intent. Su Yi muttered softly, and a few more words came from behind him. Sword intent is the same as martial skills and cultivation techniques. It's divided into mortal grade, good grade, general grade, martial grade, king grade, royal grade, and heaven grade. Every grade is divided into elementary grade, intermediate grade, and advanced grade. Just now, you were able to use the energy of the heavy sword to unleash an extraordinary power. This sword must have an extraordinary origin. Try to communicate with the sword spirit, integrate the sword intent, and release it. Su Yi nodded. Only now did he understand that to release the sword intent, one needed to combine the sword spirit, the sword intent itself, and the activation of the soul. How could such a move not shock the heavens and earth, move mountains and move seas, and tear the heavens and earth apart? Grandmaster, what is the quality of the sky wind sword intent? Su Yi looked around at the beasts in front of him and suddenly remembered the sky wind sword intent that had disappeared. Sky wind sword intent? Suruga taught it to you? Come to think of it, that's a treasure. It's heaven grade, intermediate grade. If you can use the sky wind sword intent, you can cut through time and space, collapse the world, and fall the sky. But you need to have an extremely high cultivation to be able to do that. Until now, I haven't seen anyone use it. You didn't come out either? Duamu Qin Tian shook his head and looked at Su Yi expectantly. Su Yi couldn't help but feel great waves in his heart. Such a high-grade sword intent move had disappeared from his mind without him comprehending it. Su Yi searched his mind again and confirmed that there were no traces left behind. Then, Su Yi said in a low voice, "It must be on me. It won't disappear." Su Yi had never encountered such a situation before. He simply raised his spirits and glanced at the group of beasts. He was ready to use the incomplete sword technique to master the sword will. The grade of sword intent is a level, but in the Sword King's divine domain, there is a unique set of rules for the utilization of heaven-grade sword intent. They are respectively penetration, profound, perfection, sublime, and transformative. Each level was further divided into elementary, intermediate, and advanced levels. If you have the chance in the future, you can go to Sword King Divine Domain to take a look. Every single one of them is a soul controller with a powerful sword intent. Everyone knew that a soul controller's physique was much weaker than an ordinary martial artist's. Hence, the strength of their soul energy was the only thing they could rely on. Isn't that an invincible position? Su Yi's eyes rippled as he asked in a low voice. In the way of the heavens, there will be losses when rushing, and there will be shortages when plentiful. Such a powerful Sword King Divine Domain will inevitably be envied by others. These years in the Middle Grade Star region will not be easy. In addition, I won't talk about the Bloodsword Spirit Clan for now. There are too many things in it. I will tell you slowly in the future. An absolute swordsman was definitely an extremely powerful soul controller. However, whether a soul controller could cultivate sword intent, he also needed a strong physique and a tough soul. So, you can understand why Tian Foam Martial Pavilion can become the top force in Tian Incontinent. They're at the peak of both the soul and martial paths. Su Yi was speechless when he heard this. His face immediately turned serious. Even such a powerful Tianfeng martial pavilion had been destroyed. Whoosh! Raising his eyebrows, light shot out from the corners of his eyes. The blood demon killing god sword in Su Yi's hand suddenly buzzed. The sword pointed to the sky and tore waves in the air. Boom! Su Yi began to search for the blood demon killing god sword's sword spirit. The scene in front of him turned scarlet again. His heart and soul were in turmoil. Under the guidance of the art of controlling heaven, Su Yi gradually immersed himself in it. With the previous two experiences, the mysterious ball of light in Su Yi's mind began to give off a solid light. A gentle light burst forth and spread in his mind. After he calmed down, the murderous intent that filled the air instantly spread out like ripples in a storm. Like a receding tide, Su Yi stood rooted to the ground. There is actually a world in here. Su Yi's eyes were filled with astonishment. The violent energy ripples in the surroundings frantically pulled Su Yi out. He quickly circulated the Origin Supreme technique to resist this powerful aura. The space inside the blood demon killing god sword was desolate. Not a single blade of grass grew. In the flat ground that stretched as far as the eye could see, there was a lingering aura. After pushing away the bloody aura, a stone pagoda-like building suddenly appeared in front of him. Is this kid practicing with the sword spirit? Chila! A lightning-like light shot out from Duanmu Qingtian's hand. The group of beasts suddenly trembled and prostrated themselves on the ground. In front of them, Su Yi and Duanmu Qingtian were a huge energy enveloping them. The group of beasts felt a kind of divine, domineering aura of a king. The absolute pressure from above made them tremble. The light completely wrapped Su Yi. From Duanmu Qingtian's eyes, a thought-provoking light flashed. This kid's sword is a bit unusual. After being swallowed by the blood sword fruit, there's still such a heavy blood aura. Something big must have happened to this sword. Chila. Layer after layer of energy enveloped Su Yi's body. From afar, it looked like a divine halo. Duanmu Qingtian looked at this ancient and vast aura. After a long time, Duanmu Qingtian fell into deep thought. Why is there a stone pagoda here? From the outside, this stone pagoda looked ordinary. In fact, it was just a small building made of stone. But it was very strange for it to appear in the blood demon killing god sword. As he slowly approached the stone pagoda, a vast and mighty aura suddenly surged out. It was the same as the bloody aura in the air. This power was not only desolate, but also had a clear aura. Walking into the barren stone pagoda, the first level was empty. The terrifying aura in the air seeped into Su Yi's soul like a tidal wave. He immediately felt a sense of fear and trepidation in his heart. He rapidly circulated his hand seals. The art of heaven controlling and the heaven fate ancient sutra revolved as the light in his eyes gradually turned clear. Su Yi sized up the strange, surging energy as a sense of insecurity welled up in his heart. Big brother, are you here to get ping, huh? His eyes suddenly trembled as Su Yi looked up. He suddenly used the Fuyao Hunter transformations under his feet. Flames surged as Su Yi immediately rushed to the highest level of the stone pagoda. Chila, the primordial chaos supreme technique, tore through the air as Su Yi instantly arrived at the highest level of the stone pagoda. Chapter 1960. Su Yi climbed to the top of the stone tower and saw a jade bottle half the height of a man placed in the center. Doesn't the blood sword fruit filter out the evil spirit and demonic aura? Can it revive the sword spirit? Su Yi frowned and asked the iron soulfish in a low voice. The moment the iron soulfish entered the blood demon killing god sword, he felt a boundless and powerful energy suppressing him. Su Yi and Qi Feihong didn't have this kind of strong feeling, but he felt it very clearly. The iron soulfish's eyes flickered as he lay in the corner of the entrance, trembling. This was the first time in 10,000 years that the iron soulfish felt fear and dread. Old Tai, what's wrong? The iron soulfish didn't respond to him for a long time. When he probed with his soul, he saw the iron soulfish curled up in a sickly state. He couldn't help but feel a little strange. The iron soulfish quickly shook his head and said in a trembling voice, "I don't like it here. Hurry up and get out." Sui nodded. The blood aura in this place didn't seem to have been purified at all. Moreover, the bottle in front of him was very strange. No one would believe that it was the sword spirit. "Were you talking just now?" Suyi's tiger-like eyes trembled as he looked at the jade bottle in front of him with a solemn expression. The handles on both sides of the jade bottle were like two arms. The overall arc of the bottle was fresh and smooth, and the bottle was as clear as jade. It was in sharp contrast to the bloody aura outside. "Yes, big brother. Ping-er is so bored here. Can you take Ping-er out?" He was still a little apprehensive. His eyes were solemn as he formed a hand seal and activated the supreme art of origin. He slowly approached the jade bottle. "It's so comfortable. Big brother, Ping-er likes the smell on your body. It's so familiar." "You're familiar with me?" Sui thought. He held the blood demon killing god sword every day. It would be strange if he wasn't familiar with the smell. As soon as he finished speaking, bottle swayed on the spot. His slender neck and thick waist made him look very cute, just like a woman with a big belly. "If you want to come out, tell me how you got into the bottle first." He took out the Heavenly Star Astonishing Soul from his interspatial bag and pushed the tip of the blade against the jade bottle. He was immediately repelled by a great force, and he was instantly puzzled. The jade bottle paused for a moment. Then, a dense white stream of air came out from the mouth of the bottle. A weak and aggrieved voice came out of the bottle. Ping-er seems to have slept for a very, very long time. When she woke up, she was already in this bottle. He pondered for a moment. Could this Ping-er be the newly born sword spirit of the god-killing blade? Was a reason why the blood demon killing god sword's blood energy did not dissipate because the sword spirit was trapped in the bottle. "Then are you a sword spirit?" When the jade bottle heard the words sword spirit, it couldn't help but become slightly excited. The bottle's body shone brightly as it said, "Sword spirit?" Ping-er's head hurt. Ping-er doesn't know. Ping-er is not a sword spirit, not a sword spirit. It's most likely a sword spirit. Do you remember what I said about the blood sword spirits? The iron soulfish's weak voice was heard again. The blood sword spirits were exterminated because of the blood sword fruit. The blood sword fruit fed on blood energy, and after being refined, it could allow a weapon to give birth to a new sword spirit. However, if the blood sword fruit couldn't filter out the evil thoughts and desires in the blood energy, it could also cause the weapon to go to the other extreme. There were good and bad sword spirits, and it was completely determined by the quality of the blood sword fruit. Should I open it? He frowned. His mind was in a mess. The blood demon killing god sword automatically locked onto the sword spirit. Perhaps it was the sword's self-protection, but it was clear that the sword was not an ordinary item. If this sword spirit was a bad one, releasing it would definitely bring about a calamity to him. "Big brother, can you let me out? Ping-er promises I won't wander off." Jade Ping looked at Suyi's hesitant expression and pleaded again. Suddenly, the corners of Suyi's mouth lifted, and he set up the mysterious space. In an instant, the stone tower's aura rose rapidly. The vast energy of heaven and earth surged, and a spatial energy storm swept through the void. In the sky, the wind and clouds surged and lightning flashed. The destructive aura was pure and ready to be unleashed. Suyi's starry eyes shone, and a fierce and domineering aura spread between heaven and earth. Suyi placed Jade Ping directly under the heavenly lightning and said softly, "Ping, or bear with it. I have to use the heavenly lightning to release you." Following his thoughts, Suyi let out a ferocious roar. The sound was like a thunderclap, and a large part of the void was distorted. From the highest heavens, a bolt of lightning energy shot out from the clouds, carrying a destructive and domineering aura. It directly exploded on Jade Ping's body. Roar! The spatial light in the space shattered inch by inch, and a blinding light shot out from the void. In an instant, light arcs swept out, and circles of pitch-black ripples spread rapidly in the surrounding space. The terrifying, destructive aura was like the chanting of ancient gods and demons. Lightning flashed, and under the heavy bombardment of the heavenly lightning, the jade ping instantly shook and cracked. He stepped out with the Azura's 100 transformation steps, and his aura gradually retracted. The corners of his mouth curled up as he watched the jade ping, or change. Chila. From the mouth of the bottle to the body of the bottle, countless tiny cracks suddenly appeared, inch by inch, like a dense spider web. Not long after, a few blinding rays of light were released from the cracks. With a crisp sound, a red light rose in the sky, and the sharp light completely shattered the body of the bottle. The fragments fell to the ground. A look of curiosity appeared on Su Yi's face. At the same time, he activated the demonic god battle suit. With a wave of his saber, the light in front of him quickly dissipated. The vast red light was very mysterious, and it carried a very clear and pure smell of blood. When the red light dissipated, a little girl in a red tutu was sitting in the middle. She opened a pair of watery eyes and sized up this mysterious space. "You're Ping-er?" Su Yi asked softly. Ping nodded absent-mindedly and smiled at Su Yi. Looking at her height and face, Su Yi estimated that she was only 7 or 8 years old. She was very childish and very pure. "Big brother, where is this place? It seems very fun." Su Yi waved his hand and patted away the dust on Ping-er's body, acting like a big brother. "This is Big Brother's treasure trove. If you have a good relationship with Big Brother, you can come and play at any time." Su Yi raised an eyebrow. Ping was pulled up by Su. Her extremely long eyelashes fluttered lightly, and she was very innocent. She said, "Okay, Ping-er is very obedient." Looking carefully at Ping-er, Su Yi discovered that there was a small sword pattern carved on Ping-er's forehead. He immediately understood. Ordinary sacred artifacts would spontaneously become spirits. After communicating with their masters, they would have a great effect. However, it was Su Yi's first time coming into close contact with a sword spirit like this. If not, Su Yi would not have been able to detect that this was not human. Chapter 1961. Su Yi squatted down, looked at Ping-er's innocent face, and smirked. "Ping-er, you promised Big Brother that you wouldn't run around." Ping-er tilted her head. Her flawless face was suffused with a strange luster, forming a strong contrast with her bright red undergarment. "Ping-er won't run. Then you have to make an agreement with Big Brother. Only then will Big Brother believe you." Su Yi's black eyes flashed with a trace of luster. The Iron Soulfish and Chi Fei-hong both shook their heads. Su Yi was truly shrewd, even tricking a child. Su Yi suddenly turned his head, anger surging in his eyes. The corner of his mouth moved, and his deep eyes rippled. To be able to be isolated by the blood demon killing God Sword and still be fine, Su Yi didn't think that Ping-er was just a simple child. What do you know? When Ping-er heard Su Yi's words, she obediently stretched out her hand. Suddenly, a sacred and mighty aura burst out from Su Yi's body. Su Yi formed a seal with his hands, and the heavenly demon ancient scripture quickly circulated. A demonic yet not evil energy lingered around his body. Instantly, the air was filled with an ancient aura, like a surging tide in the middle of the night. In a split second, the mighty aura suppressed the surroundings under the influence of wind and thunder. Don't resist," Su Yi said in a serious tone, a trace of coldness flashing in his eyes. Being stopped by Su Yi's shout, the restless and curious Ping-er immediately stopped. In her mind, there was a trace of fear. She didn't resist, and a pair of watery eyes stared at Su Yi as he began to set up the demon spirit contract. The throbbing in the depths of her soul flashed, and the final demon spirit contract left a heavy mark on Ping-er's soul. Following which, Su Yi's eyes opened, revealing a trace of relief in the depths of his black eyes. His eyes were bright, and a multicolored light flickered. Buzz. Standing up, Su-yi pulled Ping Er up as well. When she stood up, she was not even half of Su-yi's height. Ping Er pouted. Under Su-yi's gaze, a vast ancient aura immediately surged down from the sky. It was accompanied by a vast aura and multicolored light that suddenly enveloped Ping Er's body. The light was like a bolt of lightning, instantly turning into a shadow and rushing into Ping Er's body. The ancient energy that filled her body was extremely dense, crazily merging with Ping Er's small body. This aura is becoming more and more terrifying. Chi Fei Hong and the Iron Soulfish were flabbergasted. Their eyes were wide open, and they couldn't recover from shock. Wow, this sword spirit is amazing. The entire world was like a desolate world. Wind and thunder swirled, lightning struck, and mysterious space ripples gradually dispersed. So comfortable. Ping Er gradually closed her eyes. Under such a majestic aura, not only did she not feel any pressure on her soul, she even felt an innate sense of intimacy. Su-yi knew that this was also because the space had accepted Ping Er. From today onwards, the blood demon killing god sword spirit would be under his control, and the blood demon killing god sword would also completely belong to him. The terrifying commotion continued for a period of time before it came to an abrupt end. The aura in the air lingered endlessly. Looking at Ping Er again, her originally smooth and tender skin was even more sparkling and translucent, like a beautiful jade that had been reborn. She was only 7 or 8 years old, but her skin was as smooth as mutton fat. If she wasn't a sword spirit, she would be an absolute beauty in the outside world. Opening her eyes slowly, Ping Er opened her arms and said to Su-yi, "Big brother, carry me out to play. I'm tired of staying here." The corners of Su-yi's mouth curled up slightly. Since he had succeeded, he didn't delay and directly carried Ping Er. Before he left, he glanced at handsome Su from the corner of his eyes. Grandpa Ginseng was in seclusion, trying to break through. Only handsome Su was in the blind spirit pool and herb field. "Handsome Su, watch over her." Su-yi's eyes flashed with a hint of sadness. Chi Fei Hong nodded, and Su-yi left and returned to the stone pagoda. Looking at the stone pagoda, Su-yi asked Ping Er about the origins of the stone pagoda. Ping Er only told him that when she opened her eyes, she was already inside the bottle. With the protection of the stone pagoda, the blood aura outside would not seep in at all. Su-yi nodded in his heart. "Looks like this stone pagoda is also a treasure. Big brother, let's go out." Ping Er woke up and hasn't left the stone pagoda yet. Ping Er blinked her big eyes, full of anticipation. Now that the sword spirit had signed a demon spirit contract with him, all the blood aura outside could be absorbed. The blood demon killing god sword would also be reborn. Holding Ping Er, Su-yi circulated the essence under his feet and turned into a ball of light, flashing out quickly. Just as he walked out of the stone pagoda, a murderous and bloody aura that seemed to come from the depths of the abyss came again. The sky was red and dazzling, and Su-yi couldn't help but tremble. How did the blood aura here come about? Was it related to the origin of the blood demon killing god sword? Logically speaking, the blood sword fruit could filter out the blood aura and give birth to a new sword spirit. Now that the sword spirit had already been born, the blood aura was still so dense. It was really inconceivable. "Ping Er, can your blood sword spirit feel the blood aura?" Su-yi didn't look sideways, and shock surged in the depths of his eyes. He was slightly moved, and he heard a weak and charming female voice in his arms. "What do you think?" Immediately, Su-yi felt a chill down his spine, and all the pores on his body opened up. His eyes were filled with shock. His eyes darkened. The girl lying in his arms was no longer a 7 or 8-year-old girl. Instead, she had a head of red hair and a red dress that swayed in the wind. Her long and slender legs, coupled with her curvaceous legs, outlined a charming and seductive curve of her perfect body. She was wearing a flirtatious red dress that looked like it was dripping with blood. The neckline of her dress was slightly open, and it was faintly discernible. Her face was like a hibiscus, and her face was exquisite. She was extremely attractive. Every movement she made could quickly hook people's souls away from their bodies. After looking at her for a bit longer, Sui could feel the temperature of his body rising rapidly. His lips and tongue were dry. When he came back to his senses, light burst out from his eyes, and he directly threw the girl away. In a split second, a vast and mighty aura enveloped his body, and he quickly urged the art of controlling the heavens to calm down his throbbing soul. The energy in his body quickly rushed out, and it was as if he had a divine ring on his body. And the girl in red who was thrown away, her red lips opened and closed, and her slender fingers brushed across her snow-white neck. She was just like the peach blossoms in March, beautiful and charming. Who the hell are you? Restraining his mind, a biting cold light and killing intent surged in his eyes. Suyi's hand condensed to flame, and his aura was incomparably fierce. His right hand held the starry sky, soul tightly, and he stared at the girl in red. I am Ping Er. You are hugging me, and you still ask who I am? The girl in red's eyes were like fire, and her charming eyes were like silk. She was full of smiles, and her eyes were woven with hooks that could hook people's souls. In an instant, all the desires in people's hearts were aroused. Chapter 1962. Looking carefully at the red-clothed girl in front of him, her features were indeed similar to Ping Er's, but she was more mature. After staring for a long time, she was indeed the same person as before. However, the girl in front of him had a slim figure with long sleeves. Her sexy waist was perfectly displayed under the red robe, and her slender legs were like water snakes, making people drool. It's that little girl. How come we didn't notice her transformation? Chi Feihong's eyes were wide open, full of surprise. Not to mention Chi Feihong. Even Sui himself was a little shocked. He was actually able to change his body form right under his nose without making a sound. There was no change at all. Sui retracted his gaze, and his face twitched. Looking at the charming girl in front of him, he couldn't help but be on his guard. Why are you looking at me? Who are you? I'm from the Bloodsword Spirit Clan. Sui raised his eyebrows. The girl in front of him was talking about the Bloodsword Spirit. Could it be that she wasn't a sword spirit? Was she from the Bloodsword Spirit Clan? Huff, huff. Inside the entrance, the Iron Soul Puppet was gasping for breath and said without any sign of weakness, Sui, the Bloodsword Spirit Clan will definitely have a backup plan. However, this girl seems to have forgotten a lot of things. The blood aura in the air has also become thinner because of her appearance. Frowning, Sui looked up and used his Yuan Qi to feel the blood aura in the air. Just as the Iron Soulfish said, the blood aura was moving towards Ping Er's body at a speed visible to the naked eye. The blood aura kept spinning around Ping Er's body, and soon it turned into a vortex. In the air, a foul wind blew, and blood rain fell. In the distant sky, thunder rumbled. Countless lightning bolts pierced through the blood clouds and fell from the sky, spreading over Ping Er's head. In a split second, ghosts cried and beasts roared. A terrifying feeling that the world was going to be torn apart spread rapidly, and energy surged. Within the blood chi, there were visible remnants of vengeful spirits. Black light shrouded the area, and evil chi spread out. Ping Er's charming face immediately became extremely evil. Black patterns covered her blood-red robe. Her body gradually grew taller. Her eyes were cold and arrogant. She was like a vengeful queen full of stubbornness, making one's soul tremble. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook as evil energy gushed out. In an instant, the heavenly origin demon soul also emitted a kind of divine light. The mysterious light immediately surrounded Suyi's sea of consciousness. Suyi's entire body was enveloped by the divine light. His eyes contained a domineering aura like a young god. With his hands behind his back, Suyi's green robe and hair fluttered in the wind. The vast and mighty pressure in the air instantly caused all of Suyi's aura to erupt. Seeing that Sui was not afraid of her energy, the eyes of the red-clothed Pinger flashed fiercely. Once again, the energy in her body burst forth. It was mixed with an evil wind that was like rumbling thunder. The sound waves in her essence surged. What is this place? Let me ask you. A heart-wrenching roar came out from the mouth of the red-clothed Pinger. Suyi's eyes were filled with doubt. It seemed like the red-clothed Pinger didn't know about his situation. He then lifted the corner of his mouth, and an arrogant aura gushed out. Submit to me and be my sword spirit loyally. I will help you regain your memories and help your blood sword spirit race to shine brightly in the star region. The wild laughter spread rapidly in the air. The red-clothed Pinger's face had a smear of disdain and ridicule. She spread out her hands, and her alluring curves were revealed again. You're just a lowly Origin Emperor. How dare you boast so shamelessly? The red-clothed Pinger's arrogant face revealed extreme disdain. She didn't put Sui in her eyes at all. The man in front of her might have a strange aura, but this place was filled with blood energy. No matter what, he wasn't a match for her, the blood sword spirit. Sui expected the red-clothed Pinger to have such an attitude. He wasn't anxious or annoyed. He made a beckoning gesture with his eyes filled with radiance. You can give it a try. If you can attack me, I will turn around and leave. The red-clothed Pinger tilted her head. Her charming face was filled with disbelief and doubt. A huge amount of blood energy surrounded her body. In the next second, she flew to Suyi's side. She pushed her palm forward. A huge amount of blood energy turned into an energy light pillar and blasted on Suyi's head. Her speed and strength had reached the extreme. Bang! It was such a crazy attack, but Sui was expressionless. The red-clothed Pinger, who was moving at high speed, couldn't help but tremble. When her palm was about to touch Sui, with a snap of her fingers, a sudden clap of thunder resounded in the depths of the sky. A lightning pillar as thick as a person blasted down. The thunder was loud, and it was like the roar of dragons and tigers. All beasts were moving at the same time. The lightning strike that could suppress and destroy all living things smashed on the red-clothed Pinger's body. Rumble. A terrifying sound wave swept across the sky. The silver lightning almost covered the entire blood-red sky. Countless vengeful spirits and evil thoughts escaped in an instant. The sky was clear again. The terrifying energy was still sweeping across the sky. For a moment, the space was in chaos. When everything dissipated, the red-clothed Pinger fell heavily to the ground. A green figure wrapped in holy light appeared. It was as if a deity had descended. There was a deep and majestic chill between his brows. He had a sense of unparalleled majesty. The red-clothed Pinger was extremely shocked. Her charming eyes were filled with disbelief. Her slim red dress was already full of scars. The damaged part of her dress was filled with snow-like glossy skin. It was so bright that it made one's heart feel refreshed. What trick did you use on me? You lowly human. The red-clothed Pinger's hands were trembling. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. Her trembling body was about to start struggling again. Crackle! Lightning flashed, and the lightning dragon that crossed the sky accurately struck down. It just so happened that it had defined a boundary around the red-clothed Pinger. A dry fire was lit, and the flames were burning fiercely. Pinger's eyes were filled with fear and disdain. Another bolt of lightning struck down and tore off the left shoulder of the red-clothed Pinger. Immediately, a snow-white fluorescent jade wall was revealed. Pooh! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, the red-clothed Pinger was still trying. Her unyielding eyes looked at the sky and shouted loudly. Save your strength, whether you're willing or not. You've already submitted. Sui looked at the devastatingly beautiful woman who was being struck by lightning. As long as the red-clothed woman agreed, Sui would not do anything excessive. The red-clothed Pinger's tenacity and endurance had completely exceeded Suyi's imagination. Her delicate shout was accompanied by fresh blood falling to the ground. Don't even think about it. The blood sword spirit race will not lower our heads to anyone. Human, you are not worthy for me to submit. Looking at Suyi's serious face, the red-clothed Pinger crossed her legs and lay on the ground. Her entire body was trembling uncontrollably. Her skin was translucent, and her red dress was char-black. Your pride is useless in front of me. Without absolute strength, blindly resisting and persisting is something that only a fool would do. As soon as he finished speaking, the golden dragon patterns in Su Yi's eyes flickered. A boundless, desolate aura suddenly exploded. Immediately, the winds and clouds in this area were stirred up. The roar of a dragon could be heard from the horizon. The sound of heavenly music could be heard from afar. It was as if an ancient deity was singing. Chapter 1963. Only those with absolute strength can reach the peak. You shouldn't still be here after your race has been exterminated. He squinted his eyes, and his green robe fluttered behind him. His aura was imposing without being angry. He stared at Ping Er, who was paralyzed on the ground, with absolute arrogance and awe. She looked delicate and pitiful, full of scars. Her glistening and translucent skin was exposed, like a willow in the wind. She was extremely delicate. There were 2 balls of fire dancing in her charming eyes. Her unyielding gaze followed her clear tears as she raised her head slightly to look at Su Yi, who was in midair. Su Yi's body was enveloped in a strange light. With a divine halo around him, his aura was vast and surging. It was as if he had crossed an endless and desolate 1,000-year space-time and stepped on the immemorial clouds to move. Divine shadows intertwined, and the wind and clouds were awe-inspiring. What did you plant in my body? Ping Er retracted her evil aura and asked with her dry red lips. The contract between you and me. If you are a smart person, you'll serve me with your sword. I will definitely help you revive the sword spirit race, dominate the world, and destroy the 4 seas. He landed on the ground slowly. His eyes were piercingly cold, and a domineering and arrogant aura that couldn't be rejected was released. Whoosh! He pushed his right palm forward, and the Origin Supreme technique was activated again. The surging air waves were desolate and ancient, and they surged towards Ping Er like a tide. Suddenly, Ping Er was pulled up by a great force. She covered her chest with her hand, showing a troubled expression as she said in a low voice, "What can I do for you? The blood energy here is still abundant, but it can be used by you and allow you to change your body's shape. It seems like you have a great connection with the blood energy here. From now on, this blood energy world will belong to you. Before I unravel the secret of the blood demon killing God sword, you and I will work together. I don't think I need to tell you what a sword spirit should do, right?" He lifted his gaze, his deep eyes emitting cold electricity. The real master's aura was immediately released. Between his brows, there was a domineering arrogance. After he finished speaking, he did not look at Ping Er in red. After saying that, Ping Er furrowed her brows. Countless thoughts flashed through her mind. When Su Yi's ancient aura erupted again, Ping Er's eyes flashed with a strange light. Her beautiful eyes widened, and after hesitating for a long time, she finally staggered to half squat on the ground and respectfully said, "Master, Ping Er submits." Su Yi, whose back was facing Ping Er, smirked. Su Yi, who had his head lowered, raised his head and pushed his palm backward. "In that case, come in with me." Boom! The mysterious space exploded once again. Unparalleled shockwaves accompanied by a huge explosion resounded throughout the world. When mysterious space appeared in front of Ping Er, she was extremely shocked. She looked at the sky filled with godly clouds, wind, and thunder. She was unable to regain her senses for a long time. The whistling remnant clouds were extremely mystical. Lightning arcs dashed in the sky. Celestial demons and beasts circled in the sky. The supreme aura shook the world. Surprise flashed in Xiao Chen's charming, yet tenacious eyes. A supreme might press down on Ping Er's body. Immediately, Ping Er felt an urge to prostrate herself. She was shaken repeatedly. After a long time, the tremors in the sky slowly disappeared. Ping Er, who was still in shock, said softly, "Master, where is this place?" From this moment on, Ping Er's view of Su-yi changed again. It was as if she was meeting the overlord of the star domain. She didn't dare to be rude or overstep her boundaries. Su-yi shrugged and smiled. He knew that the best way to conquer a woman was to completely conquer her. Ping Er was completely loyal to him. This is one of my secret realms. The lightning punishment you received just now was transmitted to your brain from here. Her gaze trembled again. The four beasts were hanging in the sky. The godly birds were screaming. The white tigers were roaring. The black tortoises were crawling, and the green dragons were roaring. The lifelike beasts occupied the four corners of the world. Endless spiritual chi was rolling in from the depths of the void. Master, I said, you made a smart choice. Travel with me, and you will be free to roam the world. Su-yi raised his eyebrows. He was domineering and incomparably arrogant. Hearing Su-yi's words, Ping Er was stunned at first. Then, her gaze twitched and her expression froze. She nodded her head heavily. Master, I'll return this to you. Ping Er took out a book and handed it to Su-yi. Su-yi couldn't be more familiar with the thing inside. It was the Sky Wind Sword intent that Su-yi lost back then. According to Duanmu Qingtian's description, it was a mid-tier sky-ranked sword intent. Su-yi's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He took the book and whispered helplessly, "Why is it with you?" The red-clothed Ping Er pursed her lips and said embarrassedly, "My blood sword spirit clan is fanatical about swords and everything related to swords. Therefore, when Master collected the law of sword essence, I absorbed it." Su-yi took a deep breath, feeling both angry and amused at the same time. I mean, why can't I find it? You can even dig out the things hidden in my brain. You are really powerful. Suddenly thinking of the Bloodsword Spirit Clan, Su-yi leaned his body slightly and looked at Ping Er carefully. At this moment, an indescribable blush appeared on her charming face. You said you're a member of the Bloodsword Spirit Clan. Why did you become the sword spirit of the blood demon killing God sword after I refined the blood sword fruit? Standing in the same place, Ping Er's face suddenly turned ugly. Her head was in great pain. She squatted in the same place and shook her head hard. Frustration and confusion appeared in her eyes. I can't remember. I can't even remember my name. I only know that I was in a blood mist and was released by Master. It was Master who told me that I had become a sword spirit. While speaking, Ping Er's body started to turn transparent. Her red dress gradually faded. Her snow-white legs started to tremble. Her face also became extremely pale. Su-yi was shocked. When he was about to go forward to check, a blood-red wave came towards him. The golden dragon's aura quickly spread out. When he looked up again, there was only Ping Er with big, innocent eyes. She changed back. Su-yi patted his head. Seeing Su-yi, Ping Er skipped to Su-yi's side. She tilted her head and said, "Big brother, didn't you want to take me out to play?" Su-yi smiled awkwardly. He knew that as long as there was no blood chi, the sword spirit would automatically turn into Ping Er's appearance. And to truly unleash the power of the blood demon killing God sword, not only did he have to have a good relationship with Ping Er, but he also had to be familiar with Ping Er. Otherwise, it would be difficult to unleash the true power of the blood demon killing God sword. He would also not be able to unleash the powerful sword intent. Good Ping Er, it's dangerous outside. Big brother will take you to play here. For the next half a day, Su-yi could only accompany Ping Er to play in the mysterious space. They looked here and there. After spending half a day in the mysterious space, Su-yi had a new understanding of the vastness of the mysterious space. What does this space mean? The more Su-yi looked around, the more surprised he was. Looking at the water sky suppressing stone and the other 3 sky suppressing stones, Su-yi guessed that it must be related to his Yuan Qi attribute. Earth, water, wind, fire. The 4 Yuan Qi attributes corresponded to the 4 sky suppressing stones. Not to mention where the other 3 were, whether they were in the Tian barbarian continent or not. Su-yi had a question in his heart. Why must they be of the 4 attributes? Chapter 1964. Three Crow Region, inside a nameless valley. Su Yi had been stuck in this position for a long time. Duanmu Qingtian crossed his arms, and his soul pressure exploded. Why is this brat still so calm? Did something happen while communicating with the sword spirit? In front of the valley, the five-legged golden flame beast stared at the motionless Su Yi. It rubbed its shoulders against the ground, and its sharp claws rubbed against the ground as it let out a low roar. The beast's roar shook the mountains and rivers. The clouds above its head shook back and forth, and a terrifying pressure gradually rose. Facing a motionless human, the five-legged golden flame beast became restless again. Under the dazzling sunlight, the fangs glinted with a sharp light. The surrounding space was broken, and the ravine was a ghastly sight. An incomparably terrifying aura collapsed in the broken space. These guys can't hold back anymore. Duanmu Qingtian's restriction was also weakening. He frowned and tried to spy on Su Yi's situation again. Boom! Su Yi's figure suddenly shone with a divine light, and a terrifying aura as vast as the sea burst out and soared into the sky. Su Yi, who was holding the blood demon killing god sword again, was thin, but incomparably domineering. His black hair fluttered in the wind, giving him an indescribable elegance. Oh! With a low groan, Duanmu Qingtian stepped on a broken rock and leaned forward. From Su Yi's aura, he could feel that Su Yi had undergone a great change. He was pleasantly surprised, and he squinted his eyes to observe carefully. The aura in the air was suppressed to the extreme, and the space in the valley was distorted. The fiery, bloodthirsty beast's eyes burned with flames, and its killing intent was ignited to the extreme. Demonic chi rose in the air, and a fiery aura spread out along with the domineering energy. Su Yi, who was at the center of the aura, had his eyes closed. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open, and the blood demon killing god sword in his hand trembled violently. Red light flickered, and the sky was filled with red light. In an instant, some of the remaining few dozen five-legged golden flame beasts in the valley began to crawl and growl. Their pupils contracted, and their huge bodies began to tremble for no reason. Their claws tore through the sky, and a series of muffled sounds indicated that their beast souls were trembling violently. An incomparably sacred primordial light completely covered Su Yi. A vast and desolate energy spread through the world. When the aura reached its peak, two blood shadows flashed past. Boom! They were the corpses of the other two five-legged golden flame beasts that Duanmu Qingtian had left behind. In an instant, the air was filled with a bloody and murderous aura, and the roars of slaughter resounded through the void. It was as if the five-legged golden flame beast had gone berserk, and its coarse skin was shaking back and forth. Countless streaks of flames rose into the sky, and its sharp claws continued to rush into the sky. Kid, I'll help you increase the difficulty. Duanmu Qingtian chuckled. Su Yi's domineering and destructive aura had already caused the beasts to tremble. If he did not let the beast's blood boil, this training of the sword intent would be for naught. In a flash, Su Yi gripped the blood demon killing god sword tightly. The sword god shook rapidly, and blood traces and light surged out. The tip of the sword opened a path, and it slashed furiously in all directions. Pinger, join with me. Yes, master. The voice of the red-clothed Ping slowly came from the blood demon killing god sword. It was calm and determined. The blood demon killing god sword seemed to have sensed something, and a buzzing sound came from the tip of the sword. Immediately, Su Yi's eyes were filled with blood traces, and he quickly urged the sword intent of the broken sword in his mind. Killing sword art. An earth-shattering roar was heard, and the sword aura of the blood demon killing god sword suddenly increased by several thousand meters. Two red sword lights flew out from the depths of Su Yi's eyes. Immediately, from Su Yi's body, an extraordinary and domineering aura of destruction surged, accompanied by an immense pressure that filled the heaven and earth. Su Yi's explosive aura also caused Duanmu Qingtian's eyes to tremble. He whispered, Is this brat's sword intent really that strong? The blood demon killing god sword slashed out violently in front of everyone's shocked eyes. The sword light was dazzling, and it carried with it an ear-piercing sound as it slashed towards the beasts. Boom! The sword light spread out, and the air in the valley was stirred up. A violent gale spread out, sweeping through the heaven and earth. Immediately, the beasts began to scatter in all directions. Roar! The five-legged golden flame beasts raised their heads, and after spewing out flames, they dashed in different directions. Under the violent gale, dozens of demon ancestor realm five-legged golden flame beasts staggered. Pung, pung, pung. The sword light was dazzling, and the sword aura was like a rainbow. The entire valley was split into two under the impact of the sword intent. The mottled corners of the valley were all turned into dust, and the cracked ground no longer existed. The entire valley had sunk down by half a zhang. The biting cold sword light swept across the sky, and the beasts crawled on the ground, their flesh and blood separated. Mournful cries and howls resounded through the air. The huge beasts were disintegrated under the wave of sword light, and their bones were tossed into the sky. The blood mist that filled the sky dyed the entire sky crimson red. Violent gales and sharp sword light shot through the sky. No matter how fast the dozens of demon ancestor realm barbaric demonic beasts moved, they were unable to dodge the weaving sword waves Xiaowan. Strong. The sword intent is not that strong. There's something strange about that brat's sword. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were wide open, and his handsome face was filled with shock. The power of Su Yi's sword intent had definitely exceeded Duanmu Qingtian's imagination. As for the shocking changes in the surroundings, Su Yi turned a deaf ear to them, and his eyes shone with a terrifying blood-red light. In Su Yi's mind, it was a sea of red. Blood flowed like a river, and corpses floated in the air. The thousands of li of corpses, bones, and flesh formed an extremely horrifying scene. A cold light gushed out from Su Yi's incomparably cold face. His sword intent was extremely high. Su Yi's entire being had merged with the blood demon killing god sword. Under the radiant sword light, the valley quickly collapsed. Huge rocks rolled down from the high mountain peak, disintegrating and shaking the heaven and earth. In the distance, the trees in the forest high up in the valley collapsed. Waves of green rushed towards the valley as the ground was torn apart. Rumble! The valley was quiet. The wind blew past the mountains and rivers, lifting half of Su Yi's black hair. His bright and deep eyes gradually became clear. When Su Yi regained his senses, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. Dozens of demon ancestor realm, five-legged golden flame beasts were turned into broken limbs and scattered all over the ground. Their huge heads fell to the ground and smashed into deep pits. They were incomparably horrified. Flames filled the air, and the remaining scorching aura decorated the valley into a purgatory. Was this caused by me? Su Yi's mouth was wide open. He killed dozens of demon ancestor realm demonic beasts with his own strength. Su Yi's heart was filled with shock, and he could not regain his senses for a long time. Then he heard an old voice coming from the top of the valley. The effect is only SOS so. Why aren't you taking the demonic cores? Only then did Su Yi raise his head. Just now, he had used the sword intent of the god-killing god sword to shatter the demonic cores of dozens of five-legged golden flame beasts. After collecting the demonic cores, Su Yi counted. There were a total of 35 demon ancestor realm demonic cores. Su Yi was overjoyed as he returned to Duanmu Qingtian's side with a big bag of monster cores that glowed with a ferocious luster. Chapter 1965. Let's go. Duanmu Qingtian's expression did not change, but Su Yi's eyes dimmed. He had wanted to hear some compliments from Duanmu Qingtian. The ravine that was in a state of disarray was filled with an incomparably foul stench, and the smell of blood filled the air. It was completely lifeless. Su Yi's eyes were still filled with astonishment as he followed Duanmu Qingtian. Light flashed beneath his feet as he crossed the shattered mountains and seas. Under the scorching sun, Duanmu Qingtian's speed began to slow down after leaping over hills and turning around a few hills. Su Yi followed behind him with a puzzled look on his face. "Grandmaster, where are we going?" Duanmu Qingtian's aura was fierce as he said in a low voice, "You've ruined the Golden Flame Beasts Valley. The leader of the Golden Flame Beasts will definitely come looking for you. I'll take you to escape." Su Yi's eyes widened. The leader of the Golden Flame Beasts in the space-time mezzanine must be at what level of cultivation that even Duanmu Qingtian would be afraid of? "Grandmaster, when I was cultivating, where did you go for a period of time?" Duanmu Qingtian pointed at a mountain peak in the distance. There were many caves on the mountain peak that were filled with strong demonic aura. "I want to find the Golden Flame Beast's lair for you. I got the 2 dead Golden Flame Beasts from there. Otherwise, your sword cultivation would not have been so effective." Duanmu Qingtian then said softly, "Not every place in the space-time mezzanine can open a space-time tunnel. I've checked and found that the Golden Flame Beast's lair is occupying the opening point." Su Yi nodded after hearing Duanmu Qingtian's words. It was no wonder that the Golden Flame Beasts could survive in such a barren place. They had occupied the teleportation point of the space-time tunnel. There was probably no other creature that could survive in the mezzanine other than them. "Let's go. Go to the lair and cultivate. Break through to the origin ancestor realm before the leader of the Golden Flame Beast returns." "It's the same. I won't help you." Duanmu Qingtian smiled slyly as his lips curled into a mysterious smile. His heart trembled. The 5-legged Golden Flame Beasts were usually at the demon ancestor realm. The leader had to be at the origin domain realm at the very least. If the 5-legged Golden Flame Beasts were found to have all been killed, one could imagine how furious they would be. The most dangerous place was the safest place. Right now, the only way to fight for some time was to stay in the dark. Since that's the case, let's hurry. It's too late. Su Yi began to panic as he sped up the shifting steps. When they reached the Golden Flame Beast cave, Duanmu Qingtian did not enter as usual. Su Yi looked at Duanmu Qingtian. "I won't go in. My Yuan Qi has been greatly injured and I can't use it for a long time. However, I can still stand guard for you." "Hurry up and go in." Su Yi took a deep look at Duanmu Qingtian. Then, he rushed into the cave of the Golden Flame Beasts. As soon as he entered the cave, he felt an abundant amount of energy of heaven and earth pouring into his body. His eyes lit up as his mind surged. He peeked in the cave and found nothing special. The huge space was extremely vast, and a vast and desolate aura surged into the sky. The energy that filled the space was condensed and did not dissipate. It was as if there was a pump in the depths of the void that constantly poured energy into the cave. This is indeed the teleportation point of the space-time mezzanine. Su Yi was filled with hope. He was certain that he was not far from returning. He had been in the mezzanine of the Three Crow region for more than 20 days. Time did not allow him to delay any longer. Without hesitation, he sat down cross-legged. The energy surging around the cave was like a giant dragon's roar. He quickly spread his mind and carefully checked the situation of the great void spirit ocean. The whirlpool was filled with Yuan Qi, and it was indeed time to break through to the origin ancestor realm. However, Su Yi did not expect it to happen so quickly. After thinking for a while, Su Yi looked outside. Duanmu Qingtian was standing on a high ground with his hands behind his back. He had been paying attention to the movements around him. Although Duanmu Qingtian said that he would not help, his actions showed that he still hoped that Zhou Dongwang could increase his cultivation level quickly. Zhou Dongwang smiled and focused on breaking through. Su Yi activated a mysterious hand seal and forced himself to calm down. He cleared all his meridians and pores and allowed his Yuan Qi to interact with the surrounding space. Within the bright energy halo, his body temperature rose rapidly. Once the high temperature was gone, the void trembled. In the misty atmosphere, Su Yi's eyes gradually closed. The Yuan Qi in his wide meridians was vast and mighty, like the rumbling of wind and thunder, impressive and unending. Slowly closing his eyes, Su Yi set up the mysterious space again. In an instant, the entire cave was filled with Yuan Qi. The air was filled with a whirlpool, and the Yuan Qi was like a pillar of light that was extremely dazzling. In the sky and on the ground, the sound of energy flowing could be heard. The space rippled like ripples. Su Yi's face was solemn. At the same time, Su Yi swallowed 3 demon ancestor realm monster pills in succession. "You little brat, are you crazy?" The iron soulfish's eyes flashed. He knew that Su Yi had no choice but to take the risk. Then, he shook his head and remained silent. In the next second, Su Yi's celestial spiritual meridians swelled. Su Yi's skin emitted a crackling sound. Time passed like sand. The night was dark, and the stars were bright. Sparkling dew sprinkled in the cave. At this moment, Su Yi had completely entered the breakthrough stage. Within the great void divine ocean, the Yuan Qi whirlpool had grown from a small cluster to a huge whirlpool pillar. It was like a water dragon that shocked the heavens. Within Su Yi's body, the iron soulfish and Qi Fei Hong's eyes flashed. The entire space was so quiet that only the sound of heartbeats and the wind could be heard. Everyone held their breaths and did not dare to disturb Su Yi. They were afraid that he would go berserk if he was not careful. There was a huge gap between the Origin Emperor realm and the Origin Ancestor realm. If one could reach the Origin Ancestor realm, one would enter the ranks of the top experts in the Tianyan continent. They would be able to come into contact with the secrets of the spatial rules and advance towards a whole new realm of martial arts. A dream that could never be achieved in one's lifetime had appeared in the hands of a 19-year-old youth. If there were any martial artists present, they would probably vomit blood. According to Su Yi's instructions, Qi Fei Hong placed the demon pills that he had not completely refined and the 32 demon pills in front of him. His remnant soul did not stop protecting Su Yi. Rapidly circulating the demon-subduing illusionary tome and the Origin Supreme Art, Su Yi was refining the Yao Core's energy at the fastest speed he had ever been in his life. Large beads of sweat continuously dripped down his body, and his entire body turned an extremely red color. Under his red skin, green veins popped out. From top to bottom, Su Yi's entire body had turned red. His hair and beard were as red as fire, making him look like a fire god. This is the effect of the fire elemental Yuan Qi in this kid's body. He has the highest talent for fire, so it's normal for it to be a breakthrough in his cultivation. The iron soulfish looked at Su Yi, who was completely focused. Chapter 1966. Falling in love with Yu Su Yi's body was like a huge furnace, extremely hot and breathtaking. The iron soulfish was not like Qi Fei Hong, who could come out at will. Its entrance was already boiling like a boiling boiler. Su Yi's training was also a kind of torture for this demon grandmaster demon. It could only watch Su Yi break through and ascend with trembling eyes. 3 demon elixirs were swallowed. Another 3 demon elixirs. 3 more after 3 more. Qi Fei Hong's eyes trembled as it stared at the changes in Su Yi's body. As long as the energy of the demon elixirs disappeared, it would refine the energy of the demon elixirs and transfer into Su Yi's body. For a moment, it was so busy that it was drenched in sweat. The more energy was transferred, the more shocked Qi Fei Hong was about Su Yi. Swallowing his saliva, Qi Fei Hong's eyes were filled with shock as he kept shaking his head. If it were anyone else, swallowing a demon grandmaster demon elixir would definitely cause them to explode and die. However, this young man relied on the mysterious and fierce aura of the technique and the golden dragon bloodline to survive round after round. Thinking back to when they were in the demon fantasy cave, Su Yi's cultivation level had increased several times, and he was already breaking through to the Origin Grandmaster realm. Any aristocratic family or first-rate force would be so ashamed that they would crawl into the ground. In the great void divine ocean, The vortex of gas was accelerating rapidly. The surging aura flowed through the pores of the skin, and the aura of the entire space reached its peak. In the cave, a 19-year-old young man was moving towards the Origin Grandmaster realm with all his might. At night, the chessboard-like stars hung high in the sky. The high temperature of the day was exchanged for the coolness of the night. The breeze blew and the roars of beasts could be heard in the sky. The forest shook and the beasts crawled. Duanmu Qingtian stood on the high ground with a nervous expression. He looked back at the situation in the cave from time to time. Everything was normal, but his face gradually turned serious. Only you can help yourself. Whether you can go back or not depends on this. Kid, don't disappoint me. Duanmu Qingtian's dark eyes flickered. Su Yi, who was at the Origin Emperor realm, was able to cross over, but it was impossible for him to open the domain pearl again. He had to break through to the Origin Ancestor realm. Moreover, it was still unknown whether an Origin Ancestor would be able to open the domain pearl. From the direction of the mountain valley, terrifying sonic booms resounded through the world. Red flames filled the entire world, causing the night of Three Crow region to be extraordinarily lively. Bestial roars rang out continuously as a few huge beast shadows rushed into the sky, instantly illuminating the entire sky. Then they turned into a mushroom-shaped cloud and drifted away. Waves of energy fluctuations shook the heavens, and a desolate aura swept through the air. The heavens and the earth trembled. This was an indescribable shock and panic. The golden flame beast king's roar shook the heavens. Golden flames shot up into the sky. At this moment, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Within the mezzanine of the vast Three Crow region, thousands of huge whirlpools in the sky began to surge, as if they were going to shoot down the stars. Streams of fire scattered on the ground. It was a scene of purgatory. This golden flame beast must have become irritable after seeing the tragic scene in the mountain valley. Duanmu Qingtian's lips curled into a smile. Clapping his hands, Duanmu Qingtian slowly stood up. The pressure around him covered a large area in front of him, and a huge mystical light shrouded Su Yi's cave. As the pressure descended, Duanmu Qingtian used all his energy to form a huge net, temporarily isolating the aura of the mountain cave. When he felt the aura of Su Yi's cave change and tremble, it was as if something had awakened. Duanmu Qingtian's expression changed rapidly. He turned his head and quickly checked. His eyes were filled with endless shock. This aura is so strong. Is it coming from this brat? Disbelief and shock lingered, just as Duanmu Qingtian was about to enter the cave. In the distance, the golden flame beast's aura spread out again. Duanmu Qingtian fiercely stomped his foot. After pondering for half a breath, he pushed his palm forward. A huge pressure surged out again. He tapped his foot lightly and flew into the distance. Brat, whether it's a blessing or a curse, you decide for yourself. Remember, my life is also on you. Duanmu Qingtian's words slowly floated down in the inky blue sky. As for whether they would reach Su Yi's ears, it was still unknown. Inside the cave, Su Yi had already reached a critical moment in his breakthrough to the Origin Ancestor realm. At this moment, Su Yi had swallowed a total of 12 demon ancestor realm monster cores. His entire body was completely red, like a soldering iron, boiling hot. Mysterious runes slowly flowed out from his boiling hot skin. Under his sparkling and translucent skin, mysterious patterns appeared as if they were carved. Specks of starlight shone. The layout of the divine spiritual meridians had already covered his entire body. Every hidden latch was like a star hanging on a red chessboard. Not one less, not one less. At this moment, Su Yi's body had completely turned into an exquisite star diagram. His aura was domineering, just like a god. Bang, bang, bang. His aura continued to rise. A terrifyingly high temperature covered his entire body. The burning pain made Su Yi cry out. The extreme heat rose and spread. The rocks in the cave melted upon contact. Circles of ripples also appeared in the air. At this moment, Su-yi, who was in the mysterious space, had a thundercloud descend. A terrifying energy descended from the depths of the void and shone on Su-yi's head. Along with the descent of the divine light, the 12 demon ancestor realm monster cores in Su-yi's body were completely refined. The great void sea was incomparably hot, and the fiery red liquid began to condense again, like a hot knife through butter. The hidden latches in Su-yi's body rapidly rose like jelly beans. Every time a hidden latch was connected, an extremely shocking sound would burst forth. In an instant, the terrifyingly high temperature awakened. Su-yi couldn't care less about the burning pain. He suddenly let out a dry cry from his throat. Bang! 7th hidden latch. 8th hidden latch. 9th hidden latch. 10th hidden latch. 18th hidden latch. The breakthrough of the hidden latch only stopped at the 18th hidden latch. At this moment, the cave had completely collapsed. Heaven and earth connected, and light surged. The cave's divine light shot into the sky. Su-yi, who was wearing a green robe, was completely enveloped by the dense light. The divine light was dazzling, and a shadow appeared behind him. It was like a miracle, and the might of the heavens was vast and mighty. Awoo! The divine bird spread its wings, and a golden dragon hung in the sky. An incomparably huge picture of stars and the universe formed behind Su-yi. The overflowing aura was filled with the vastness of heaven and earth. In an instant, the river of stars flowed within the cave, and the mountains and rivers reversed. Waves of thunder rumbled, and an incomparably profound shadow overlapped. This kind of aura was too terrifying, and it caused people to be terrified. At this moment, from Su-yi's body, there were thousands of beast shadows enveloping him. The sun and the moon shone together, and the river of stars rippled. In the sky, the 4 beasts roared. The Emperor Sparrow and the Golden Dragon were wrapped in lightning and thunder, and they proudly roared into the heavens. The light projected high up in the sky directly destroyed the pressure set by Duanmu Qingtian. The shadow reflected on it was tyrannical and destructive, and the river of stars connected. How terrifying! Walala! On a mountain peak far away, a broad figure stood on top of a high hill. He was filled with wildness, and his eyebrows were like a sculpture. His face was as gloomy as water. His eyes were like lightning. He saw that his lair was filled with vitality, and the sky was filled with strange phenomena. Between heaven and earth, there were even dazzling flames that seemed to want to spread out from the void. He immediately shouted loudly, "Follow me back to the cave. The thief is in the cave." Chapter 1967. Falling in love with you, the lair of the golden flame beast was filled with resplendent rays of light. Wind and thunder roared, and Su-yi's body was filled with a mysterious luster. His hands were constantly forming seals, and the sound of explosions rang out continuously. The ferocious beast's tail shocked the heavens and the earth, and an unparalleled pressure constantly struck the mottled walls, causing cracks to appear all the way from the top of the cave to the bottom. Debris flew, and rocks fell, and dust flew everywhere. The vast and boundless lair of the golden flame beast was already on the verge of collapse, and Su-yi, who was in the middle of it all, closed his eyes tightly, not moving at all. His body glowed, and runes flowed. Su-yi, who was breaking through with all his might, had an inexplicably terrifying domineering aura, and was terrifyingly destructive. The yuan qi that surged out was like the chanting of gods and demons, and tens of thousands of beasts charging at him. Shadows overlapped in the sky high above, and a huge amount of demonic aura soared into the sky. After a long while, the wind and clouds surged again, and the sky darkened. Thunder roared, and silver-blue lightning arcs rotated in the extremely high sky, and a terrifying energy came crashing down violently. Boom! Su-yi raised his head slightly, and the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. His eyes immediately shot out a powerful ray of light, and the monstrous divine flames around his body burned rapidly, and all the mysterious runes surged. His eyes were like lightning, and a scarlet demonic light flashed past. He exhaled a long breath of energy from his throat. At this moment, Su Yi's aura was incomparably powerful, and the fire element Yuan Qi that spread out was like a volcanic eruption, surging through the heavens and the earth. Is this the level of the origin ancestor realm? Blinking his eyes, Su Yi was pleasantly surprised. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile, and his deep eyes rippled with waves. After entering the origin ancestor realm, Su Yi's perception of the nature of the Yuan Qi in his mind had reached a whole new level. If the original world was chaotic and dark, then the current world was colorful. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, and thunder. The attributes of vitality were mixed in the thin air and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Su Yi closed his eyes and could still feel the flow of the elements. Su Yi's eyes lit up. What was even more amazing was that Su Yi realized that his great void immortal sea had turned into a sea of fire. The great void divine sea, which was already incomparably huge, emitted a terrifyingly high temperature as divine light shrouded it. Yuan Qi rapidly revolved in his divine sea, like a small tornado. It was crystal clear like lava, as if it would explode at any moment. It was extremely condensed, and the energy was shocking to the point of being terrifying. What was even more amazing was that there were 12 drops of fiery red liquid floating beside the whirlpool. They were the mysterious spirit fire liquid that he had consumed. The fire liquid emitted an extremely high temperature that even his soul could not withstand. It was filled with an ancient aura, but it was too difficult to reach his Qi sea. 12. Su Yi, who was looking into his mind, opened his mouth wide. He looked in front of him and saw that he had consumed 12 demon grandmaster demon cores. Kid, look at your divine, spiritual meridians. The iron soulfish said in a low voice, his voice filled with shock. After quickly scanning the meridians in his body, Su Yi was immediately stunned. The divine spiritual meridians, which originally had 108 profound entrances, had suddenly opened to 18 after breaking through to the origin ancestor realm. The energetic iron soulfish's face was rosy as he lay within the 18 profound entrances. He crossed his legs, and his black pupils rolled around. He was still confused. What's going on? Why did I suddenly open all 18 profound entrances? The iron soulfish's eyes rippled and trembled. Shock and astonishment rose from the depths of his soul. The divine spiritual meridians can only be opened after reaching the origin ancestor realm. You open them too early, so naturally you can't feel the wonders of the divine spiritual meridians. Quick, see if there are any changes. Is that so? Su Yi's pupils suddenly shrank as surprise appeared in his eyes. Focusing on probing the 18 profound entrances, Su Yi's mind was shaken. His heavenly origin demon, soul, immediately felt an enormous energy that could cover the sky and resonate with heaven and earth. The enormous energy of the Milky Way flowed down and struck his soul, as if divine lightning had descended. Wong! His soul trembled. He could clearly see a divine light descending upon the world. It was as if it had passed through the vast wilderness and filled the world. It had passed through the boundaries of time and space and landed on his body. He couldn't help but close his eyes. Circles of ripples trembled as his aura surged. Qi Fei Hong, who was in mysterious space, had long prostrated himself on the ground and didn't dare to raise his head. Sui, you're actually a profound spirit. Qi Fei Hong's voice trembled uncontrollably. The enormous energy seemed to connect with the sky and firmly suppress him on the ground. Shut up, the iron soulfish roared. It was as if a devil's voice had entered one's ears. Thousands of ghosts wailed, and vengeful souls soared. Black energy rolled over and tossed Qi Fei Hong's remnant soul far away. His face instantly turned pale from shock. His gaze suddenly trembled as he looked around in panic. A chill suddenly appeared in his pores. Qi Fei Hong's heart palpitated. Where did that energy come from? It was clearly an external force. Why couldn't he feel it? Su Yi is currently undergoing the cleansing of the divine profound spirit veins. If you say another word, I'll immediately kill you. The iron soulfish's eyes bulged like copper bells. Ferocious demonic aura surged violently. The strength of the peak of the demon ancestor realm, coupled with the talent of the demon race, was much stronger than Qi Feihong's remnant soul. Qi Feihong immediately prostrated himself on the ground again. His soul trembled uncontrollably, and he didn't dare to say another word. And after Su Yi was enveloped by the divine light of the vault of heaven, he raised a sheet of starlight high above his head. A large expanse of Yuan Qi light rushed into the sky as if it was being summoned. The flames of the divine birds, the dragon's scales flew into the sky, and the awe-inspiring roars of 10,000 beasts all turned into a silent storm under the circulation of the vast galaxy, enveloping the high horizon. Every time the Milky Way divine light ascended, the light of the Milky Way divine light would change. The light of the Milky Way divine light flickered, and the patterns were complicated. The essence Qi within the 3 gates is deep. The life gate within the 9 micro-gates is locked. The Xian core of the 3 palaces determines the prosperity and decline. The Tai Pearl anchors the Kunlun realm. Thousands of elements are connected. Each of them is like a mountain. The sun and moon fly between heaven and earth. The Yuan Qi and divine soul are bright. Su Yi kept repeating the huge amount of information that was poured into his mind through the divine gates. His mind was spinning rapidly. Su Yi seemed to be able to see the vast Milky Way in front of his eyes. The desolate and ancient Milky Way divine light had been immersed in heaven and earth for millions of years. The power of survival and destruction was only on a thin line. The universe exploded, the stars were destroyed, the mountains and seas were flaming, the rivers were reversed, and the heaven and earth were shaken in an instant. Grief, destruction, heavenly star, Su Yi shouted in his heart. This was the first technique that Su Yi received from the divine profound spirit veins. It was also the first technique of the Xian spirit technique. After being surprised, Su Yi tried to search through the vast amount of information in his mind. However, the hazy and dreamy light shrouded him, making it difficult for him to explore any further. Congratulations, kid. You have a true, godly martial skill. Opening his eyes, the stars flashed. The scene changed from the vast Milky Way divine light to a ruined cave. Su Yi, who was in the dark, was surrounded by dots of twinkling stars. It was as if a god had descended to the world. The immense power of the god suppressed everything in the world. Divine martial technique. If you go to other Milky Way divine martial techniques, you can't use them as you wish. The iron soulfish smiled slyly. Its small eyes were shining. Chapter 1968. Falling in love with you, he looked at his transformation in disbelief. The Duanmu Xiaoman's words echoed in his mind. According to the records of the Heavenly Palace, martial skills were divided into primordial energy skills, bloodline skills, divine beast skills, spatial skills, and soul skills that were controlled purely by spiritual energy. Su Yi was now clear that sword intent was a type of soul skill. The Sky Barbarian continent was vast and rich in resources. There were also many hidden races that were blessed by the heavens and condensed their talents in their bloodlines. They could use their bloodlines to unleash power that was much stronger than ordinary people. The divine, profound spiritual meridians were one of the ancient bloodlines. The skills that were triggered were called divine, profound spiritual skills. Ancient bloodline. Su Yi's eyes lit up. He finally had his own bloodline skill. He had always been using divine beast skills. Although he had the Imperial Sparrow bloodline and the Golden Dragon bloodline, he had not derived a complete martial skill system. Su Yi had always had a regret. When he first met the Imperial Sparrow in the Secret Realm, it was already a remnant soul. The Golden Dragon had been in the Sky Barbarian continent for tens of thousands of years, and its aura was no longer strong. of the Imperial Sparrow bloodline. He had only comprehended the Blood Phoenix split the sky, which could only be used together with the Blood Demon killing God sword. Of the Golden Dragon bloodline, he had only comprehended the Golden Dragon suppressing the 9 heavens and the world suppressing Dragon Soul Roar. No one knew what kind of destructive power the complete legendary divine beast skill would have. I finally reached the origin ancestor realm. I didn't expect to have an ancient bloodline skill before I even activated the spatial domain. A cold light shot out from between Su Yi's eyebrows. His determined face was solemn. After reaching the origin ancestor realm, Su Yi knew that returning to the Sky Barbarian continent was an urgent matter. He had to make a trip to the old Golden Dragon. Brad, it's about time. My Yuan Qi can only last until this point. The Golden Flame Beast King is about to attack. Duanmu Qingtian's voice was mixed with Yuan Qi and transmitted into Su Yi's ears. Raising his sword-like eyebrows, the killing intent in his cold eyes was obvious. The primordial Qi whirlpool under Su Yi's feet rose, and immediately an illusion flew out, cutting a ray of light in the dusty black hole. In Jin Yan's lair, on a mountain peak in the distance, a figure stood in the wind. He was as tall as a small hill, and his face was filled with killing intent. There was a domineering aura between his eyebrows, and his eyes were glowing with energy. A baleful aura surrounded him, and his demonic aura soared to the heavens. His lightning-like flames surrounded him, and his demonic domain cultivation made people's souls tremble. His mighty aura was like a ferocious beast that had awakened. His cheekbones were high, and his eyes were bright. The bulging muscles on his body were like a perfect suit of armor. The lines were clear, and they were shining under the cold moonlight. At the foot of the mountain, there were a few 5-legged golden flame beasts that were crawling around. They let out low roars from time to time, and their sorrowful roars converged into a fierce roar that was deafening, like rolling heavenly thunder. After seeing the tragic scene in the valley, the remaining golden flame beasts did not dare to rush in, even though they were furious. They rubbed the ground and shook their huge heads, shooting out flames to show their power. In the distance, the lair's cave was filled with smoke and dust. Huge waves of flames rushed out, and the earth trembled from time to time. Every 5-legged golden flame beast's eyes were throbbing, and they let out sorrowful cries. A faint sense of danger rose from the depths of their souls. To be able to annihilate dozens of demon ancestor realm savage demonic beasts in one fell swoop, he was definitely not an ordinary person. The Golden Flame Beast King raised his head and looked at the dazzling stars in the distant lair. The human inside, come out, and I will spare your life. Roar. 7 to 8 demon ancestor realm 5-legged golden flame beasts roared, and their eyes flashed fiercely. Their front hooves were as sharp as knives, and they stomped heavily on the ground. Huge cracks spread on the mountain ridge, and flames rushed into the cave like blades. In an instant, the entire mountain was lit up by flames. The mountain peak was surrounded by heavenly fire, and it shone brightly in the sky. The beast's roars shook the sky, and the wind and thunder surged. Bang! Inside the lair, a golden red light was released from the depths of the cave. Instantly, an overwhelming pressure rushed over. The Emperor Sparrow behind him screeched, and its aura was like wind and fire. A golden dragon flew across the sky, and the mountains and rivers surged. Su Yi, who did not have his flaming wings, stood against the wind. His eyes were as red as blood, and his aura was mixed with monstrous killing intent. Su Yi's huge figure covered the sky. He circulated the Origin Supreme technique to the extreme, and he glanced at the flashing white dot in the distance. That was the direction where the Duanmu Qingtian was. Then he calmed himself down, and his eyes shone brightly. His aura locked onto the Golden Flame Beast King on the mountain peak. A human? The Golden Flame Beast King had not expected that the person who had caused such a massacre to his descendants would be a human. In his eyes, humans were the most insignificant existence, like dust. What was even more unbelievable was that this human was only at the origin ancestor realm. The golden flame beast king looked in Su Yi's direction, and his ferocious gaze sent chills down one's spine. My descendants have been slaughtered by you, and my cave residence has been destroyed by you. You are such a weak human, and you are really not afraid of death. Today, I will peel your bones and pull out your tendons, and you will die here. The golden flame beast king's gaze was filled with disdain and mockery. The golden flame beast king could not understand how such a human could kill his descendants to such an extent. The truth was right in front of him. Su Yi was indeed only at the origin ancestor realm. I will give you two options. Submit to me, or tell me the exact location of the spatial point, and then die. Su Yi's green robes fluttered coldly, and his gaze was indifferent. On the path of martial arts, the strong were respected. This was a principle that had never changed in any star region. If Su Yi wanted to return, he had to pass this test. And if he wanted to become stronger, the five-legged golden flame beast king was also the best training target. Su Yi naturally did not have the slightest bit of pity, and his eyes flickered. The golden flame beast king laughed maniacally, and his gaze was as cold as a sword. His demonic aura was blazing, and his robes fluttered in the wind. Ignorant human, do you think you can go back after reaching the space-time mezzanine? Today, you will be buried with my descendants. Flames shot out of the golden flame beast king's eyes, and a huge five-legged golden flame beast king immediately shot out. Behind him, a huge five-legged golden flame beast king appeared. It was extremely ferocious, and with a casual swipe of its claws, the sky was torn apart, and the space rippled. Even without this golden flame beast, we can still open the spatial point, right? Su Yi's deep eyes were calm, as if he was not talking to the golden flame beast king. In the distance, his white robes fluttered as he spoke in a low voice. No problem. You should be able to sense the spatial rules of the spatial point now, Duanmu Qing Tian said in a low voice. Amidst the monstrous, demonic aura, Su Yi's gaze trembled slightly, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Immediately, he turned into an illusory figure of the Emperor Sparrow, spread his wings, and soared towards the golden flame beast king. The golden flame beast king, whose cultivation was at the first tier of the demon domain, unleashed its full strength. Its roar shook the sky, and waves of space rippled as it collided with Su Yi. Chapter 1969. The divine beast soared into the sky, its huge aura filling the entire sky. Its vast aura pierced through the clouds and surged toward the golden fire beast king. Boom! The golden and red flames collided in the air, and the dazzling shockwave razed the surrounding area to the ground. Rumble! As their figures intersected, the blood demon killing god sword in Su Yi's hand quickly extended as he roared. Sword will follow your heart. Pinger! The blood demon killing god sword glowed with blood runes, and a dense light shot out. However, it stopped abruptly, and no matter how Su Yi called out, it did not move an inch. Oh, big brother, are you calling me? Little Ping Er's childish voice sounded like she was sleep-talking, and she wobbled out of the sword. Suddenly, Su Yi's heart and soul trembled, and a wave of shock and helplessness surged up. He knew that the sword spirit of the blood demon killing god sword had turned back into Little Ping Er. The golden fire beast king beside him was shocked. Seeing that Su Yi was acting strangely, he did not delay, and a strange smile appeared on his face. Half-baked brat, I will turn you into ashes. Crimson flames splashed between his palms, burning the air as if they were rotten wood. They gathered in the air and shot towards Su Yi. Demon god battle armor. In a flash, Su Yi shouted, and the demon god battle armor with golden dragon runes quickly and perfectly fitted on Su Yi's body. His feet tapped lightly, and he flipped in the air, dodging the golden fire beast king's fatal attack. However, he did not manage to dodge a long streak of flames. His body flew backward, and he only managed to stop after rubbing against a mountain peak for a long distance. The mountain rocks cracked, and huge rocks rolled. He hurriedly stopped the metallic taste in his throat. His face was slightly pained and his brows furrowed. The resolute look in his eyes also became much more serious. He quickly changed his hand seals and held the blood demon killing god sword tightly. He split the flames in front of him again and said coldly, "Be asterisk starred, what a powerful move. Human, you're just a mere origin ancestor. How dare you act so rashly? You will definitely die in my territory." The golden flame beast king snorted coldly as a terrifying aura burst forth once again. It was enough to destroy everything. The fiend domain realm was much stronger than the origin domain realm, not to mention that he had lived in the desolate and barren spatial mezzanine for who knew how many years. It could be said that the golden flame beast king was the king of this space-time mezzanine, an absolute king. Terrifying red flames swept out from the Beast King's body and soared into the sky with a destructive force. Buzz! He immediately felt a sharp pain in his soul, and his hair stood on end. He secretly circulated the heavenly origin ancient scripture to reduce the pain in his soul. After half a breath of time, a faint smile appeared on his face, his eyes as calm as water. A child at the bottom of a well is too laughable. After living in the void for so long, how could you know how vast the world is? There's no chance. A cold glint flashed from Su Yi's eyes like a sharp blade. Immediately, the Origin Supreme technique was activated. As soon as his voice fell, Su Yi's hands condensed a series of mysterious hand seals at lightning speed. The terrifying energy that poured down from the 9 heavens immediately filled the void. Su Yi's body was enveloped in a layer of starry energy. With a divine halo around him, a terrifying ancient aura quietly spread out. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled, and the wind blew the clouds away. The sky in the distance seemed to have sensed something. Thunder rumbled, and arcs of light flashed. Sonic booms sounded in the sky and on the ground. The gods and demons were chanting loudly. This aura is... The golden flame beast king's eyes narrowed when he saw the changes in front of him. His contemptuous sneer gradually turned into fear, and finally, his heart palpitated. "Seems like you're stronger than I thought. However, you are still an origin ancestor. What do you do to me?" The golden flame beast king's eyes trembled as his voice resounded through the sky. No matter how strange Su Yi's aura was, he was still an origin ancestor. He didn't believe that Su Yi could surpass him by such a large level and be a match for him. Swoosh! Dying. Su Yi smiled faintly. His eyes were deep and ethereal, and a shocking aura surged out. He waved the blood demon killing god's sword in his hand again, and it turned into a ray of light that shot toward the golden flame beast king. "You want to kill me? Stupid human. What right do you have?" At the same time, the golden flame beast king charged towards Su Yi. Its body was covered in flames, and it was as fierce as an armor. It faced the ancient aura around Su Yi and slashed at him. In the distance, a cold and calm voice that was filled with power slowly descended. When the sound wave drifted out, the surroundings suddenly shook, and several pillars of fire shot up into the sky. Huge ancient starlight fell from the sky. The ancient aura passed through the atmosphere and swept across the world. The majestic array directly passed through the shackles of time and space and poured into Su Yi's body. The vast astrolabe spun above his head. The golden fire beast king's face was filled with shock. What appeared in front of him was a vast starry sky, and below it was Su Yi. Su Yi's eyes surged with starlight as he stood proudly under the majestic array. His hand seals changed continuously, and his aura surged crazily. Impossible, impossible! This aura, origin domain, rumble. The golden flame beast king's eyes were filled with shock. Endless energy gathered in the air, and the space in front of it instantly distorted. An overbearing aura spread out, and it clearly showed that Su Yi's aura had skyrocketed to the origin domain. Oh my god, is this a Xian spiritual technique? He broke through the shackles of the first level and reached the origin domain realm. The iron soulfish's eyes widened. The origin chi in the divine meridians was like a raging river. The slightest carelessness could cause it to be expelled from the body. It's moving. It's moving. The light ball's energy is beginning to fluctuate. Chi Fei Hong shouted. The iron soulfish's soul almost left its body. Its eyes flashed anxiously as it looked at the mysterious light ball in Su Yi's mind. An incomparably vast aura erupted from the light ball, and this aura shook the entire world. This was clearly borrowing the power of the ancient stars and adding it to the body. This was a supreme almighty. The sixth level of the Origin Supreme Art's Origin Demon Body was the divine, profound spiritual meridians. Who would have thought that the first move would be so shocking? Brat, don't use the Xian spiritual technique. You can't withstand it. The Duanmu Qingtian's soul voice came out, and after entering Su Yi's body, it was bounced back and smashed into the mountain. The Duanmu Qingtian staggered to his feet. His face was as pale as snow, and the shock was still lingering in his mind. In the mystical light, his aura surged, and the starlight around his body trembled. An ancient aura spread out without reason. Su Yi's cold voice came out. Desolate heavenly star, open. Boom. The mysterious light ball and the divine, profound spiritual meridians seemed to be connected, and the chaotic energy was like the Milky Way pouring down from the nine heavens. Su Yi held the blood demon, slaughtering God's sword, and slashed at the golden flame beast king. It was as if a meteor had crashed down, suppressing and destroying everything in the world. Chapter 1970. The Golden Fire Beast King's expression changed drastically as its aura was locked onto. It could only watch as the sword light descended upon its head. Bang! 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 The entire Golden Fire Beast King's lair and the surrounding mountain peaks exploded inch by inch. With a series of deafening explosions, everything was reduced to ashes. Following the deafening explosion, the entire world gradually quieted down. A hazy ball of energy condensed and did not dissipate. A sea of fire surged. The mountain peaks shattered, and the five-legged Golden Fire Beast King turned into a rain of blood that drifted into the sky. The Golden Fire Beast King's lair was completely destroyed. No, don't kill me. I surrender. The energy fog dissipated, and the Golden Fire Beast King was stomped under Su Yi's feet. Su Yi's glowing skin once again burst open. The golden dragon divine beast behind him had disappeared, and the star pattern was hidden under his skin. The blood demon killing god sword in his hand dimmed as it was stabbed into the ground. At this moment, Su Yi's eyes shone with a fierce light. His blood energy surged, and his aura suppressed the Golden Fire Beast King like a 10,000-year-old glacier. Seal the soul contract. Word by word, Su Yi burst out from his throat. From his trembling hands, one could see that Su Yi's yuan qi was close to exhaustion. The Golden Fire Beast King was not in a good condition either. It was on the brink of death. Its muscles were torn apart, and its flesh was badly mangled. Faint traces of flames could be seen on its skin. It was like a fragile spark that could be extinguished at any time. Boom! Su Yi activated the last bit of yuan qi in his body. After sealing the soul contract with the Golden Fire Beast King, he stretched out his legs and lay on the mountain peak. The moment Su Yi lay down, blood gushed out of his body. He felt dizzy, as if he had died. He struggled to sit up, formed a hand seal, and activated the Origin Supreme technique to quickly recover his yuan qi. When his soul consciousness checked his body again, Su Yi could not help but be shocked. He only had 7 drops of mysterious spirit fire, liquid left after breaking through to the Origin Ancestor Realm. Only 3 seconds had passed since Su Yi had used the despairing Heavenly Star to defeat the Golden Flame Beast King. In a short span of time, he had consumed 2 drops of mysterious spirit fire liquid. Terrifying power. The yuan qi consumption is even more terrifying. After successfully breaking through to the Origin Ancestor Realm, Su Yi's great void spirit sea was filled to the brim. In addition to the 5 drops of Xianling fire liquid that he had consumed, it was equivalent to 2 drops per breath. The iron soulfish and Qi Fei Hong were equally shocked as they watched the destruction around them. This was the first time that Su Yi had defeated a fiend domain cultivator with his own strength, but the price he had paid was too great. Luckily, you have the aura of the golden dragon and the demon god battlesuit. Otherwise, even if you could use it, it would be the same as perishing together with you. The iron soulfish's eyes were trembling. Su Yi smiled helplessly. Just activating the despairing heavenly star for 3 breaths had almost killed him. If he did not have enough yuan qi to support it, it was hard to imagine what would happen to him if he activated it for 1 more breath. This is only the first level, and it already has such an effect. What kind of effect will there be if I go further? What kind of energy will the mysterious ball of light contain? Su Yi's eyes shone as he quickly activated the Origin Supreme technique. The more he activated the technique, the more he felt that his mysterious ball of light was like a huge treasure. Throughout his cultivation journey, he had borrowed the mysterious ball of light's energy many times, but he had always suffered a backlash from the ball of light. As his cultivation continued to rise, he had unlocked the divine black spiritual meridians. The Origin Supreme technique had reached a whole new level, and he had a new understanding of the mysterious ball of light. The Origin Supreme Qi continued to circulate. After reaching the Origin Ancestor realm, the thin energy of heaven and earth could be rapidly converted into energy and transferred into his body. Boom, boom, boom. Su Yi began to recover. At the same time, the Duanmu Qingtian also returned to Su Yi's side. His yuan qi was vast and mighty, and it was filled with an ancient charm. Looking at Su Yi carefully, his face was filled with shock. He could not help but frown and whisper, "Kid, you have given me a big surprise. Who exactly are you?" The Duanmu Qingtian paced back and forth gently, rubbing his chin. Extremely high comprehension, the inheritance of a divine beast, and mysterious energy. Why would all these be fixed on this young man? In the deep pit not far away, the golden fire beast king was bleeding profusely. His aura was weak, and his heart was throbbing as he was suppressed by the Origin Supreme technique. Another human. Who are you? Amidst his painful gaze, the Duanmu Qingtian's figure slowly approached. The golden fire beast king subconsciously took a step back. The Duanmu Qingtian smiled strangely, and a rope in his hand rapidly approached. In the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. Su Yi gradually opened his eyes. The intense pain still made him cry out, but he was much better than when he was on the verge of death. Grandmaster! His gaze was fixed on the Duanmu Qingtian, who was tying the golden fire beast king to an ancient tree. He knew that his grandmaster was afraid that the golden fire beast king would fight to the death. He smiled faintly. The Duanmu Qingtian turned around and was surprised. It had only been half a day, but Su Yi had already recovered more than half. Such recovery ability and physical strength were even more shocking. Suddenly, the Duanmu Qingtian's face twitched. He maintained his calm and said in a low voice, "Come over. I'm waiting for you. Ask him how to open the spatial point." Su Yi, who had recovered more than half, stood up. His deep eyes were cold, and his expression was dark. His aura had also recovered to the first level of Origin Ancestor realm. As he approached the Golden Fire Beast King, the Beast King's huge eyes were filled with fear and shock. "You have actually recovered." Its thick lips trembled as it looked at Su Yi as if it had seen a ghost. The surrounding 1,000 miles had been razed to the ground. It was a sea of fire, and the mountains and rivers had shifted. This terrifying scene was actually the work of this mysterious young man. It was still in a half-dead state with serious injuries, but Su Yi had already recovered. How could not be shocked? I've said it before. A frog at the bottom of a well has no right to laugh at others. Since you have already submitted to me, what should you call me? His gaze was cold, and his tone was indifferent. It was as if he was giving a life or death order. The golden fire beast king's gaze trembled. In the end, it lowered its head. Its eyes were dim, and blood was still flowing from the corner of its mouth. Master, I submit. Whoosh. Since it had already submitted, Su-Yi would not hide it. After all, it was more valuable to subdue a demon domain expert than to destroy one. A small bottle of spiritual liquid was thrown at the golden fire beast king. As the spiritual liquid approached, the beast king's heart was filled with overwhelming spiritual energy. The golden fire beast king's eyes flickered, and waves of spiritual energy were released. The terrifying wounds all over its body were immediately enveloped by a pure and majestic energy. It was extremely soft and comfortable. Chapter 1971. Su-Yi pulled out the blood demon killing god sword. With a sweep of the sword light, the rope that bound him fell off automatically. He looked at the Duanmu Qingtian and nodded coldly. Since you know about the space point, quickly recover. Then, follow me out of the space-time mezzanine and rush to Sky Barbarian. Instead of being a king for 1,000 years, why don't you follow me and be the leader of the mountains and seas? As a man, you should conquer the world, instead of being a local tyrant here. His voice was as heavy as a hammer, hitting the golden fire beast king's heart. Its ferocious aura trembled instantly. Su-Yi's words enlightened the golden fire beast king. The golden fire beast king's dispirited gaze swept across the ruined land. Now that its nest had collapsed, it would be better to go to Sky Barbarian and rebuild its territory. Its chest rose and fell faster. Finally, it raised its head and gulped down the spiritual liquid in the bottle. This fellow, the Duanmu Qingtian, looked at Su-Yi beside him and smiled bitterly. Su-Yi was both good and evil. He was young, but he was powerful. If news of a first-level origin ancestor subduing a demon domain realm elite was spread, their jaws would probably drop to the ground. As he watched Su-Yi walk forward, the Duanmu Qingtian's deep eyes surged. An undetectable light flashed and disappeared. Boom! After giving the last half bottle of spiritual liquid to the golden fire beast king, Su-Yi had no more spiritual liquid left. The golden fire beast king had already submitted. With the demon soul contract, it was no longer a threat. There was also no need to guard against his grandmaster. Su-Yi muttered to himself and set up the mysterious space. A vast universe of stars spread out before his eyes. As far as the eye could see, the shadows of the 4 ancient mythical beasts occupied the 4 corners of the universe. Above the void, auspicious clouds filled with strange patterns floated. Mysterious and unpredictable talisman patterns floated in the sky. Dazzling rays of light were boundless. It was as if 10,000 years of ancient times had appeared before his eyes. In the mysterious space, after Su-Yi had broken through to the origin ancestor realm, the spiritual energy in the sky had become even denser and more condensed. Surging pillars of Yuan Qi light poured down from the sky and flew for thousands of miles, as if divine light had descended upon the world. The space before him was illuminated to an incomparably dazzling degree. As he stood at the center of the circle of light, divine radiance suffused the air, and heaven and earth resonated. It was as if he was being reborn. Where is this? Even Duanmu Qingtian, who had seen the world, was deeply shocked by the scene in front of him. His eyes were filled with horror, not to mention the golden flame beast king, who was following behind him, prostrated on the ground and staggered. It was afraid of angering the gods, and its expression was solemn. High up in the sky, the golden dragon's scales opened and closed, vivid and lifelike. Strange light filled the air. The divine bird let out a cry, flames of destruction, spreading its wings and flying high up. The white big tiger shone with a divine radiance, its fangs intimidating. It raised its head and roared. The black tortoise was as immovable as a mountain, its divine eyes bursting with an ancient radiance, guarding the heavens. The majestic aura in the surroundings was as if it had traveled through the ancient times. The divine radiance enveloped Su-Yi's body. The space rippled endlessly. Immediately, Su Yi's skin began to heal at a visible rate. Gradually, the wounds closed, and his skin glowed. It was crystal clear and flawless. As far as the eye could see, the mysterious space was extremely vast. It was close to 100,000 feet in area, and there were winding mountains, rivers, waterfalls, and glistening pearls. The surroundings were hazy, but it still emitted a faint radiance. The misty mist mountain was like an otherworldly paradise. Treasure land. It's a treasure land. Duanmu Qingtian exclaimed in surprise. His mouth and nose breathed in the energy of the mysterious space. His eyes were filled with astonishment, and he couldn't close his mouth for a long time. The Golden Flame Beast King behind him had an extremely solemn expression. It knelt on the ground for a long time, and it didn't get up. The gods and demons in the sky were chanting, and the shadows of the demon venerables stretched across the universe. The Golden Flame Beast King was extremely respectful, and it kept kowtowing. The Golden Flame Beast King of the demon sect greets the Lord Divine Beasts and the demon venerables. The Golden Flame Beast King tried his best to keep his voice steady, but his body was still trembling. The energy in the void turned into rays of light. Other than the 4 divine beasts, there were also various ancient demon venerables from the Demon Slayer Illusory Manual. They circled the sky and roared. At that time, the mysterious space had become a paradise for the Beast Clan. It was a sea of spiritual energy. Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Flame Beast King could feel that within the hazy radiance, the majestic aura was healing the wounds on their bodies and souls. Not far away, the spiritual energy in the herb field assailed their nostrils. A black shadow flew over. Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Flame Beast King raised their eyebrows at the same time. Peak origin ancestor. The Golden Flame Beast King muttered to himself. This place was hidden, and it was his master's secret place. He secretly activated his vital energy to protect himself. Qi Fei Hong. Long time no see. Duanmu Qingtian's lips curled into a cold smile. Instantly, his vital energy erupted, and his killing intent soared. Qi Fei Hong had sensed Su Yi's vital energy from afar. He was prepared to welcome Su Yi, but he did not expect to see Duanmu Qingtian. His face changed drastically, and his face turned red. He leaned in a random direction. Back then, the Demon Slayer sect was also a part of the group that attacked Duanmu Qingtian. Even if Qi Fei Hong did not chase after them to the end, the Demon Slayer sect would not be able to escape punishment. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Qi Fei Hong was already a remnant soul. Instantly, his face turned ashen, and the hair on his back stood up. He looked at Su Yi for help. Su Yi waved his hand and hurried forward to stop Duanmu Qingtian. He said, "Grandmaster, don't be rash. This person is indeed Qi Fei Hong, but he's also a member of my Demon Slayer sect. Now that we are on the same side, can you put aside your prejudices for now?" The Demon Slayer sect? What's going on? You better explain clearly. Duanmu Qingtian's brows rose, and his eyes were cold as he asked doubtfully. Then, Su Yi told Duanmu Qingtian everything that happened in the Sky Barbarian Lands and the Tianfeng ranking tournament. His anger gradually subsided, but his gaze towards Qi Fei Hong was still as cold as lightning. Duanmu Qingtian snorted. "For Su Yi's sake, I will spare your life for now. Qi Fei Hong, you didn't expect us to meet here. What a cycle of reincarnation." His cold laughter was like a sharp sword, piercing through the sky. Qi Fei Hong also knew how painful it was for Duanmu Qingtian to be hunted down by the aristocratic families. Duanmu Qingtian was now Su Yi's grandmaster, and they would see each other frequently in the future. His gaze was slightly probing as he said embarrassedly, "Lord Duanmu, please don't hold grudges against me. Demon Slayer sect's power has declined, and it was because of the Long family's power that they did those unforgivable things. Please don't hold it against me, and even more so against Demon Slayer sect. I was the one who found the domain pearl for you and gave it to Su Yi. For this, please be magnanimous." His gaze wandered, and his face flushed red. Under Duanmu Qingtian's cold gaze, Qi Feihong's legs began to tremble. He bowed slightly, pointed at Su Yi, and continued. Sectmaster Su, you know that Demon Slayer sect only follows the Long family on the surface and did not do many improper things. I have also been locked in the demonic box for many years, and there are some things that I am not clear about. As he spoke, Qi Feihong's face turned red. Looking at Duanmu Qingtian's disbelief, he wanted to cry, but had no tears. Chapter 1972. After a long while, the Duanmu Qingtian stared at Qi Feihong with burning eyes. Then, he shook his head and said coldly, Assist Su Yi well in the future. If I find out that you are up to no good, I will break your tendons and grind your bones. In order to relieve the hatred in my heart, he clenched his teeth hatefully. When he thought of the arduous journey that had lasted for dozens of years, his anger rose again. Su Yi and the Golden Fire Beast King, standing at the side, were a little embarrassed. No one could understand the pain in the Duanmu Qingtian's heart. Su Yi immediately closed his mouth and did not want to be comforted. The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes flickered. He was shocked by the Duanmu Qingtian's aura. His face twitched. Su Yi smiled faintly and said, You are quite perceptive. All right, what should I call you in the future? The Golden Fire Beast King did not dare to act rashly. He said respectfully, Master, you can call me anything. This little one does not dare to disobey. Su Yi nodded. He and the Golden Fire Beast King knew what this place meant. Even if they were not convinced before, they had already disappeared the second they entered the space. His gaze fell on the Golden Fire Beast King's broad chest. Its bulging muscles shone like steel. Two long fangs protruded from its ferocious face. Its aura was domineering and ferocious. There was no doubt that it was a strong monster. Su Yi was glad that he had taken it as his subordinate. Su Yi raised his chin, a light flashing in his deep eyes as he casually said, I have the Bawang sect in the Sky Barbarian realm. It should have about 70 to 80,000 people. If everything goes well, I will have 2 legions, the Overlord Legion and the Sky Demon Legion. The Sky Demon Legion is made up of strong monsters. It is the core military force of the Sky Demon Temple, a branch of the Bawang sect. Next, Su Yi briefly explained the structure of the Bawang sect to the Golden Fire Beast King. Duanmu Qingtian was a little stunned as he listened. Among the Beast Emperors, there were the Dragon Rhinoceros Emperor, the Mystic Turtle Emperor, the Purple Elephant Emperor, Shuizhong, Zhuoro, Ingwu, and other ancient great demons. As for the Demon Grandmaster Realm experts, there was the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Twin Nether Kings. Now, the Golden Fire Beast King was a true Demon Domain Realm expert and was a whole level higher than everyone else. In the Heavenly Demon Temple, the ones most likely to reach the Demon Domain realm in the future were the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Twin Nether. When the time came, the 3 of them would be on par with the Golden Flame Beast King. Thinking of this, Su Yi decided to tell the Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King about his army plan. The Sky Demon Legion will be divided into 4 camps. The Golden Fire Vanguard camp will be led by you. Golden Fire will be the commander, and your strength will be led by the Domain Lord. The Green Emperor War Strategist camp will be led by the Ming Shi, and your strength will be led by the sect leader. The Yin-Yang Immortal camp will be led by the Yin-Yang Immortal camp, and your strength will be led by the sect leader. The other camp will not be arranged for now. Do you understand? Su Yi naturally had his reasons for making such arrangements. The Green Emperor was calm, powerful, and talented. He was the best candidate to be the strategist of the Sky Demon Legion. The Yin-Yang Twin Nether Kings worked well together. After combining, they were invincible. If the 4 of them could reach the Domain Lord level at the same time, the Sky Demon Legion would definitely become a terrifying force in Sky Barbarian. Of course, Su Yi also had a camp prepared for the real Tian Yao School members. After returning, Su Yi also decided to take a stroll in the Barbarian Demon Forest and let the Tian Yao School rise again. Shiwei, Shangwan Rock, Xiongzhan, Hu Qi, I don't know how far you've cultivated. Do you miss me? Su Yi's eyes flickered. After returning to Sky Barbarian, 3 years had passed. There were still 2 years left. Based on the current situation, they might not even need 2 years. Moreover, these two matters required the participation of the real Sky Demon clan members. Otherwise, it would be difficult to comfort grandmother Shangwan's soul in heaven. Kid, why did you make such arrangements? The Duanmu Qingtian was puzzled. The Holy Mountain still has the Long family. Destroy the Holy Mountain first, then attack the Long family. The Tian Yao School and Spirit Ancient Village were massacred one after another. How can I not take revenge for this? Master's meridians were damaged, and Xiaoman's life was filled with pain. These are all unforgettable grudges. Su Yi clenched his teeth, and a monstrous rage filled his eyes. He couldn't help but clench his fists. The Duanmu Qingtian felt the change in Su Yi's aura and couldn't help but tremble. It was as if it was showing just how many secrets were hidden in his heart. Kwanga, it's all because of me. The Duanmu Qingtian also knew about the Saruga incident and was silent for a moment. He raised his head. The mysterious space in front of him was vast and mysterious and filled with spiritual energy. The Duanmu Qingtian became more and more curious about Su Yi's future plans. He crossed his arms and said, Kid, you think too much. Brat, you're thinking too much. Conquering the world by force and knowing how to borrow others' strength is very good. However, the Long family isn't built in a day. If that day really comes, the Imperial Palace will also lend you a hand. The Duanmu Qingtian praised, and his eyes were full of admiration. Su Yi's overall vision, strategy, and thinking were far superior to ordinary people. Su Yi restrained his thoughts, and his expression was solemn and respectful. His firm and resolute face exuded awe without being angry. Even in front of a demon domain expert, his might was still fierce. Golden Flame's territory master, listen to my orders. Su Yi shouted. The Golden Flame's Beast King's eyes trembled, and goosebumps climbed up his back. His eyes were filled with a holy light, and he endured his injuries and said loudly, Subordinate is here. From now on, you will be the commander of the Sky Demon Army. You will be in charge of the Bawang sect. The core of the Sky Demon Army will be under your command. I hope you won't disappoint me. The core of the Sky Demon Army. What kind of trust was contained in this? Don't doubt people you use, and don't use people you don't trust. Every word was precious, but it carried a heavy weight. The Golden Flame's Beast King knew why he didn't follow his master to conquer the world, obtain glory, and reach the peak of the martial path. The Golden Flame's Beast King's eyes fluctuated, and his throat moved. His broad body was buried in his body, and he said in a low voice, Subordinate listens to your orders. Su Yi looked at the Golden Flame's Beast King with a smile. His originally blood-red eyes gradually became clear, and he patted the Golden Flame's Beast King's body heavily. Golden Flame's territory master, although you haven't met the Sky Demon Army, your cultivation is the highest. When the time comes, you will have to teach them more. Let the Sky Demon Army be even stronger. The Golden Flame's Beast King nodded, and his eyes shone with anticipation and yearning. Then, Su Yi looked at the Duanmu Qingtian. Grandmaster, Golden Flames, you two stay here and heal your injuries. After you are done, we will open the space-time transfer point, open the Realm Pearl, and return to Sky Barbarian. Okay. The Golden Flame's Beast King clenched his broad and rough hands. Without saying anything, he sat on the ground and looked at the divine beast in the sky. His eyes were full of reverence, and he began to heal his injuries. Streams of primordial chi energy turned into strips of light that shrouded his body. Mighty wind and lightning circulated around him. Seeing the Duanmu Qingtian frowning, Su Yi walked toward the Duanmu Qingtian. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. Chapter 1973. Grandmaster, if your body can't withstand the space-time storm, you can stay in this world temporarily and let me take you back to the heavenly barbarians. Duanmu Qingtian had already thought of Su Yi's suggestion when he entered the mysterious space. He pouted his lips and hesitated. The space-time storm is not a small matter. Unlike the teleportation in the same dimension, the space-time storm is a double test for both the body and the soul. Duanmu Qingtian glanced at the golden flame Beast King, who was beginning to heal himself, and his eyes began to worry. Boy, for a warrior to advance from a low-level martial field to a high-level martial field, not only does it mean that the warrior has trained hard, but it also means that the warrior's understanding of the heavenly Tao has reached a new level. In other words, the heavenly Tao cannot be disobeyed. It is already shocking that you were able to travel here with your extraordinary talent. Qi Fei Hong and the other 3 people in your body are all remnant souls. Of course, they can come with you. Dang dang. Su immediately took a step back. His eyes were wide open and full of disbelief. You don't have to look at me like that. Although I am seriously injured, I am still a Yuan Tian realm cultivator. I can't understand your mysterious space, but I can still feel the aura in your body clearly. Licking his dry lips, Su Yi followed Duanmu Qingtian and walked slowly in the mysterious space. Grandmaster, what I'm worried about now is that Golden Flame and I both have a complete body. If we stay in your body, it will be a burden to your soul. It will be even more difficult for you to travel through the space-time storm. Boy, you have more experience than me. I can't imagine what you will achieve in the future, so I don't want you to risk your life for me. After hearing about the Long family, Duanmu Qingtian suddenly had an idea. Maybe the young man in front of him could really defeat his long-lost enemy. At this time, a burst of medicinal fragrance came from afar, and a high amount of spiritual qi flowed down from the void. A human-sized spirit herb-type barbaric demon beast was receiving nourishment from the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Its branches and leaves were lush, and its hair and beard were fluttering in the wind. It was resting with its eyes closed, and its aura was mystical and profound, resonating with the heaven and earth. Su raised his eyebrows and pointed at the blood jade spirit ginseng. Grandmaster, that Grandpa Ginseng also has a complete body. Back then, it failed to transcend the tribulation and stayed in my body. This time, didn't it follow me to the space-time mezzanine? There will be a way. Sighing bitterly and shaking his head, Duanmu Qingtian gently placed his hand on Su Yi's shoulder. The corners of his eyes moved slightly. After all, it's only at the demon illusionary stage. In the martial arts world, the real martial arts world is only at the level of Sky Origin Grandmaster. Only after that can cultivation be called cultivation. You're now leading an Origin Domain Realm Cultivator and an Origin Sky Realm Cultivator through the space-time storm. You're already an Origin Ancestor. This is pure suicide. I don't agree. Hearing Duanmu Qingtian's words, Su Yi's heart was covered with a layer of dust. Cultivation was originally a matter of fighting against the heavens. It involved overcoming life and death situations, breaking through the limits of one's body, and comprehending the heavenly Tao. It was easy to understand why demonic beasts had cardinal tribulations and form transformation tribulations, and why human martial arts practitioners were limited by the Origin Ancestor realm. The jealousy of the heavens was also one of the reasons. Nothing could be taken for granted, and no path was smooth sailing. Comprehending the mysteries of the heavens was extremely dangerous. The higher one's cultivation was, the greater the obstacles and difficulties one would face when traversing the space-time storm. If Su Yi were to bring these two along, the danger would multiply. Su Yi's jet-black eyes flickered coldly. An unyielding aura emanated from him as he secretly gritted his teeth. Is there really no other way? A delicate figure flashed out. Duanmu, Xiaoman's figure began to appear. He had promised the Duanmu siblings many times to reunite. Every frown, every smile, and every tear, only Su Yi knew what kind of sorrowful emotions were contained within. Su Yi could not sit idly by and do nothing about Duanmu Xiaoman's pain. Furthermore, Duanmu Qingtian was right in front of him. Senior, do you want Xiaoman to wait another 100 years? Can Yutian Palace fall into chaos again? Duanmu Qingtian's gaze trembled. Duanmu Xiaoman had always been a scar in his heart that he did not dare to open. They were of the same bloodline, and they were of the same heart. He had not even managed Yutian Palace for a single day. I hope that we can avenge the Long family together. Su Yi raised his eyebrows as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. Then, Duanmu Qingtian frowned and walked forward. His thick and well-tailored robe swayed back and forth. Su Yi said in a deep voice, "Grandmaster, if we don't try it once, how will we know?" Su Yi opened his hands, wanting to fight for it one more time. Buzz! It spun quietly, emitting a faint blue light. The aqua-blue ice crystals spun at high speed above the spirit pool, spitting out spirit liquid like a waterfall. Qi Feihong carefully stored the excess spirit liquid into the jade vases and jade jars. "What is that?" Duanmu Qingtian's expression changed. The vast spirit energy turned into rolling waves as visible energy threads rolled back and forth in the sky. Su Yi raised his eyebrows and said to Duanmu Qingtian, "Water, heaven, suppressing stone." Duanmu Qingtian's cold glint shot out. He was slightly excited as his fingers trembled. Where did it come from? Where did it come from? This is a heaven-suppressing stone. To Duanmu Qingtian, the heaven-suppressing stone had a different emotion. Because of the gold heaven-suppressing stone, the trajectory of Duanmu Qingtian's life had been changed. Holding Su Yi's hands with both hands, he was very emotional. Su Yi sighed and retold the story of the sacred mountain and the Li family. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes dimmed as he said in a heavy voice, "So that's how it is. Did you find anything special about this heaven-suppressing stone?" After the water heaven-suppressing stone was refined, it appeared in the mysterious space. Apart from a Li family comprehending the cloud shadow, frost steps from the remnants of the crimson water crystal, it had no other use. Not yet. Duanmu Qingtian stepped out. In front of him was an ice-blue storm. The milky white ice mist was like a ribbon twisting in the air, and a huge amount of energy turned into a strong wind and poured into his body. Looking up and down, back and forth, Duanmu Qingtian finally shook his head and said with a firm gaze, "No, you didn't use the water heaven-suppressing stone." Su raised his eyebrows. Could it be that Duanmu Qingtian knew how to activate the water heaven-suppressing stone? The water heaven-suppressing stone is the essence of the 7 kinds of vitality source stone. It represents the enlightenment of martial arts and the beginning of heaven and earth. How can it be so calm? Duanmu Qingtian raised his head to look at the mysterious space and said in a low voice, "This treasure land of yours can actually contain the water heaven suppressing stone. There are many suspicious things about it. Furthermore, this treasure land of yours is related to the divine spiritual veins. Do you think all of this is a coincidence?" Duanmu Qingtian's words made Su Yi fall into deep thought. Duanmu Qingtian continued to speak. "Your divine spiritual veins can only be used when you reach the origin ancestor realm. I guess you still haven't found the right time to activate the water heaven-suppressing stone." This was true. Without breaking through to the origin ancestor realm, it would be difficult for Su Yi to comprehend the mystery of the divine spiritual technique. The water heaven-suppressing stone had been lying here for a long time. It seemed that his cultivation was still too low. Chapter 1974. Even though the mysterious ball of light had started to acknowledge him, he was still far from being able to do whatever he wanted and solve the mystery. However, if you have the water heaven-suppressing stone, you can give it a try. With the help of the heaven-suppressing stone, you can travel through the space-time storm. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes sparkled as a surge of bloodlust surged up. Su Yi's lips curled up as he chuckled. "Traveling through space-time is indeed against the heavenly Tao, but I have the water heaven-suppressing stone. Why should I be afraid of the heavenly Tao?" After that, Su Yi gave some of the spiritual liquid to Duanmu Qingtian. As the spiritual liquid entered his body, he felt as if he was reborn and nourished. The two of them also sat down near the spiritual pool and started to heal their wounds. Su Yi and Duanmu Qingtian gradually calmed down and allowed the spiritual energy to nourish them. Their bodies were enveloped in divine light, and their bodies were translucent. Time passed slowly, and another 3 days passed. In the desolate space-time mezzanine, Su Yi could casually expose the mysterious space to the outside world. Meanwhile, the iron soulfish in the vestibule spun its eyes rapidly as it monitored the space-time mezzanine for everyone. 3 days later, the blazing sun jumped out from the steamy valley. The three golden suns competed with each other, releasing their greatest passion for the earth. In the mysterious space, Duanmu Qingtian, Su Yi, the Golden Fire Beast King, and Qi Feihong's complexion were extremely rosy and radiant. Their auras were incomparably powerful. "I've finally fully recovered," Su Yi exclaimed as he stretched his muscles and bones. The great void ocean was filled with abundant vital energy like a dormant giant beast or a dragon hiding in the abyss. The waves of vital energy were extremely terrifying. Even for Duanmu Qingtian, Su Yi could feel that the injuries on his body had recovered to a certain extent. Duanmu Qingtian was not angry, but he was imposing. A mighty and domineering aura rushed out again. "Su Yi, if I can stay in this treasured land of yours for 5 years, I will definitely be able to recover completely." Duanmu Qingtian smiled faintly and was quite satisfied. Widening his eyes, Su Yi's expression changed. His heart skipped a beat. 5 years. How would he wait for 5 years? Shaking his head heavily, Su Yi hurriedly looked at the people around him and said, "Jin Yin, have you recovered? Prepare to return to Sky Berserker Continent." The Golden Flame Beast King, who had been waiting at the side, was already very anxious. Suddenly, it let out a deafening roar and said with steady steps, "Yes, sir. Master." Everyone exited the mysterious space, and the Golden Fire Beast King brought Su Yi back to Golden Fire's lair. There were broken walls and rubble everywhere. "In your cave?" Su Yi asked doubtfully. Duanmu Qingtian followed behind. The Golden Fire Beast King smiled and said respectfully, "Master, you may not know this, but if you want to accept the heavenly tribulation, you have to be at a space-time point, and this space-time point is extremely difficult to find. After going through a lot of trouble to find it, I decided to just make it my home and start to grow stronger. That's how the Golden Fire Cave is built today." Su Yi nodded. This time, with the Golden Fire Beast King by his side to guide him, he could indeed save a lot of effort. Passing through a piece of ruins, the moist swamp chi washed over them. Beautiful aquatic plants grew under the ground, forming a sharp contrast with the blazing sun above. The dark and gloomy aquatic plants swam back and forth in the underground river. The dark and moist cave chi made Su Yi feel that they had found the right place. The riverbank was covered with rubble. Under the Golden Fire Beast King's guidance, the Duanmu Qingtian and Su Yi stopped beside a patch of aquatic plants that were as tall as a human. Borrowing the light from the waves, the Golden Fire Beast King pushed his palm lightly, and an extremely delicate flame burst out from his fingertips and bombarded the aquatic plants. As soon as the aquatic plants touched the high temperature, they swayed in the wind and moved deeper into the water. The water vapor dissipated, leaving behind a dry land where the aquatic plants used to be. In the middle of the land, there was a totem symbol of the Golden Fire Beast. After seeing the symbol, the Golden Fire Beast King's eyes trembled, and he exclaimed in surprise, "Master, this is the space-time point." Immediately, Yuan Qi rose under Su Yi's feet. The flame cut through the darkness and landed in the middle of the totem symbol like a light boat. Qi-la! In an instant, astral winds blew, and a storm rose from the ground. Su Yi immediately operated the primordial origin supreme technique to resist this great pressure. The strong wind was like the roar of a tiger and the roar of a dragon. The unparalleled power spread to the top of Su Yi's head. His green robe and hair fluttered freely. Gradually, under Su Yi's skin, golden patterns began to spread. The immemorial dragon's breath released a great power that transcended the ages. Only then did he stabilize his body. Golden patterns appeared in his eyes as Su-Yi murmured, "What a fierce underground whirlwind!" The golden fire beast king's gaze fell on the totem symbol. Its bloody mouth opened wide, as if it was swallowing the creatures of time. Looking closer, one could see that it was not only the water vapor. As long as one was around the totem symbol, even the aquatic plants would not come close. The golden fire beast king continued to spit out energy from its mouth. A large area of space in front of it cracked and shattered. Under the surge of this aura, the entire totem symbol began to tremble. "Kid, take out the domain pearl. Now is the time for the space mezzanine to move." Duanmu Qingtian tapped the shore lightly. His body also turned into a ray of light as he prepared to rush into Su-Yi's sea of consciousness. The golden fire beast king was shocked. Looking at the sudden changes on the totem symbol, it was stunned on the spot. Its face was pale. Was this the space-time storm? Su-Yi's gaze fell on the earth-shattering tornado. With a flick of his finger, the domain pearl in his space bag shot out. "Old Gold, come here. Domain pearl. Take me back to Sky Barbarian." Within the golden fire totem, the space cracked inch by inch. The violent sound of the explosion was like the roar of a ferocious beast. Accompanied by the unparalleled storm, Su-Yi's mind was filled with the feeling of impact. His ears were full of buzzing sounds. In the blink of an eye, when the domain pearl was in the center of the storm, the golden fire beast king took a deep breath. It also turned into a ball of fire and rushed into Su-Yi's mind. The space began to peel off like a mottled wall. The pitch-black light was so deep that it seemed as if it could devour one's soul. It sent chills down one's spine. His gaze trembled slightly. Su-Yi's chi burst out from his body. The chi of the divine black spirit meridians surged out and turned into ribbons that wrapped around the domain pearl. The terrifying energy ripples were like the sea in the middle of the night. One could not see the bottom. In the space, one could not even see where the cracks were and where the ripples were. Bang! With a crisp sound, everything returned to normal. The surging chi of the chi in Su-Yi's body also stopped rioting in an instant. Everything in the surrounding gradually returned to normal. The storm in the sky had already gone far away. The dark water plants on the other side swayed their wastes. A dark and damp, rotten smell floated in the air. Whoosh! After sensing the change in the environment, Duanmu Qingtian and the golden fire beast king escaped from between Su-Yi's eyebrows. Their eyes trembled as they did not know what had happened. Chapter 1975. What happened? The golden fire beast king's deep eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. The sky was as quiet as still water. In the distance, there were strange flowers, strange stones, and beautiful aquatic plants. Dim lights flickered. Standing above the golden fire earth pond, Su-Yi's eyes twitched fiercely. He was still thinking about why the bounded zone pearl could not be opened. Your cultivation is not high enough. Even if the bounded zone pearl reduces the limit of the 10 Jade building, it is not something you can activate now. The Duanmu Qingtian's eyes flashed with a comforting look. Just as he was about to take a step forward, a powerful aura gushed out from Su-Yi's green robe. "Su-Yi, what are you doing?" the Duanmu Qingtian exclaimed. Yuan Shi rose from Su-Yi's feet as he took a step back and retreated a large distance. He lowered his head and stared at the ground. His voice was incomparably deep as he spoke. "Old Gold, do you know if there are other savage beasts in the space-time mezzanine?" The golden fire beast king was extremely embarrassed. He looked at the Duanmu Qingtian's position and said softly, "Although the space-time mezzanine is a tough place to live, there are still savage beasts. Those old monsters never come out and are hard to detect. They also have extremely high cultivation. They are not easy to deal with." "How high is their cultivation?" Su-Yi's aura calmed down. When he came back to his senses, his eyes seemed to be emitting lightning. The golden fire beast king suddenly felt a chill down his spine. His eyes were cold as he said intermittently, "Although the space-time mezzanine is a barren place, there are still creatures coming in and out for hundreds of thousands of years. Some of them reproduce here. There are not many savage beasts in the space-time mezzanine, but their cultivation is above the demon realm. Their cultivation is definitely above mine. When the Duanmu Qingtian heard Suyi's question, he frowned slightly. The atmosphere was filled with an indescribable awkwardness. Grandmaster, Old Gold, do you still want to enter the mysterious space? The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes lit up, but he was stopped by Duanmu Qingtian. Shaking his head slightly, the Beast King said in a muffled voice, "Not for now. We have all recovered. Then wait for me here. Give me 7 days. I'll try the space-time storm again. The Sky Barbarians must return." As soon as he finished speaking, his aura erupted in an instant. Majestic waves of fire gushed out of his body, which was shrouded in divine light. It was like a volcanic eruption that rushed toward the outside world. Duanmu Qingtian picked up the domain bead from the ground. It was sparkling and translucent, radiating a boundless radiance and emitting a simple and mysterious luster. His gaze flickered as he looked into the distance. This time, I reckon this brat has suffered quite a blow. The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes narrowed. The frustrated Su-Yi was different from the overbearing Su-Yi from before. Duanmu Qingtian shouted, "What are you waiting for? Go after him. This brat had a lot of pent-up energy in his heart. He will definitely do something that is too risky." The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes flickered, and a hint of understanding flashed past his eyes. His aura erupted for no reason, and the space trembled as he quickly flew out. The two of them left one after another. Duanmu Qingtian took a deep breath, and his aura suddenly erupted with a boom. Spiritual pressure rolled out and covered the entire space-time point. The vast and lush aquatic plants were suppressed with a whoosh, and the earth-shattering aura that swept across the area pushed apart layers of spatial ripples. Duanmu Qingtian's consciousness started to pry into the world in front of him. His eyes flickered, and the light around him revealed a boundless depth as if it could swallow the world. His origin sky stage cultivation surged, and the surrounding space distorted as the wind and clouds surged. Sky Barbarian Continent, Chaos Region. A man was imposing without being angry, and an extremely terrifying aura slowly surged from his body. The man's face was like a sculpture, and his robes were wide and well-tailored. His eyes were resolute and filled with faint golden dragon patterns. He looked at the towering mountains in front of him, and he was like a vicious azure dragon that had been hibernating for 10,000 years, quietly nourishing the earth and soil. Dragon God, is this the place where the old dragon god hibernates? The elder who had rushed over from Nine-Star Valley was Long Kuei. His expression was solemn, and his dim yellow eyes were bright and full of expression. He knew in his heart that hidden in this winding mountain range was their Long family's true dragon god. Ever since the first family master obtained the dragon race's innate talent, the Long family had rapidly grown and prospered, but they had never seen a true five-clawed golden dragon again. As time passed, the biggest problem the Long family faced was the dilution of their innate talent. Now, the Long family's bloodline was extremely thin compared to the first generation, and their innate talent was catching up to the other four families. The overall strength of the Long family disciples, including the dragon god, decreased year by year. The dragon god, standing in front of him, carried the rise and fall of the Long family on his back. As an elder of the Long family, Long Kuei knew that if he wanted the Long family to return to the peak and regain the Long family's bloodline, he would have to pay a considerable price. This was not the first time Draconis had come to the Chaos region. More than 20 years ago, he had also come here in an attempt to obtain the dragon god's favor again, but he had been refused entry. The Long family's ancient records have long recorded that the old dragon god is here, but unfortunately, he has never been able to obtain the favor. Draconis narrowed his eyes, and there was a hint of coldness in his deep eyes. Elder Long Kuei's eyes trembled, and his heart was filled with disappointment. He cautiously took a step forward. "Dragon God, Your bloodline is profound, and your innate talent has been able to look down on the six continents' third brother, Ehi, since you were young. You're already a rare genius of a long family. Could it be that you can't sense the old dragon god's aura? Draconis shook his head, and the aura on his body rippled. His eyes were cold, and he lightly snorted. I can sense the dragon god's existence, but I can't sense his location. This sovereign is worried about something. Elder Long Kuei's wide and withered hands trembled slightly. He looked up at the dragon god, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. Our bloodline is diluting. Will the old dragon god also face the same problem? Elder Long Kuei nodded, and his eyes dimmed. His disappointed gaze once again landed on the Green Mountain. Dragon god, you are right. For thousands of years, there have been people with a golden dragon innate talent. The most recent one is Han Wulong from the Boundless Sect. However, their innate talent is mediocre, and they can't cause any trouble. The Long family has never really paid attention to them. It seems that the talents are indeed getting worse with each generation. After saying this, the purple-robed elder gradually fell silent. After a long while, the dragon god shook his robe. Elder Kuei, there are a few things that I need you to arrange. Draconis's aura became stronger for no reason. Long Kuei cupped his hands and walked closer. He leaned over to listen to the dragon god speak. First, find all the people with the golden dragon innate talent who have appeared in the Tianyan continent. The Long family's bloodline must not be broken. Gather all the people with the bloodline and open the golden dragon mystery realm. Second, continue to investigate Su Yi's whereabouts. This sovereign doesn't believe that this kid will die so easily. After arranging people in the Chaos region, turn the Bawang sect upside down. I want to see what secrets this kid has. Third, even if Duanmu Qingtian is not in the Tianyan continent, we must find the space-time tunnel that he escaped to. The heaven-suppressing stone is something that the Golden Dragon bloodline must obtain. Chapter 1976. Long Kuei's body trembled, and his old face trembled as he looked at Draconis fiercely. This old man understands. Su Yi is as strange as the Duanmu Qingtian back then. Maybe the heaven-suppressing stone is in his hands. This kid must not be left alive. But where should we start looking for the Duanmu Qingtian? After a pause, Draconis's eyes suddenly became cold, like a cold pool of water, making people's hair stand on end. I heard that Su Yi, that little bastard, also came from the barbarian demon forest. Let's go to the Chaos region first, then to the barbarian city. Yes. Also, there's the Yuqian Palace. If we can't even find out, there's no need for the Yuqian Palace to exist. Draconis's eyes were cold, and a cold smile appeared on his face. After his dim yellow eyes moved back and forth, the golden light under his feet flashed, and he quickly disappeared under the clear sky. In the far distance, there were a series of mountain peaks between the verdant mountain ridges. Dangerous peaks overlapped, and beads flew from the streams like a waterfall from the nine heavens, forming a natural cover. The rushing water could reduce the aura and fluctuations to the lowest. Dressed in white, he stood elegantly at the corner of the waterfall. His eyes were like torches as he looked at the surging aura of the golden dragon in the distance. The person standing there was a middle-aged man in a white robe. The place where he stood was directly isolated from the space in front of him, and his aura was surging. In terms of identity, although he was a rogue cultivator, he had extraordinary abilities. If Su Yi was beside him, he would definitely remember that this middle-aged man in a white robe was the Shangguan kid that Xie Wushu and Tang Wang mentioned outside the secret realm of Zhaoling. In the midst of the Green Mountains, a domineering golden aura slowly flowed out. The middle-aged man called Shangguan had a cold look in his eyes, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Draconis, he actually came to the Chaos region. Does he know that the sword is in the Chaos region? Shangguan shook his head and turned to look in the direction of the Overlord sect, and said in a low voice, "Don't worry. The Long family seems to have targeted that brat Su Yi. I heard that this brat disappeared from the 10J building." The white-robed, middle-aged man squinted his eyes and rubbed his chin. He said in a low voice, "He's an interesting young man. He looks a little like that old man." In the distance, a majestic aura covered the sky and covered the earth, majestic and dignified. Draconis was already trying to open the Golden Dragon Mystery Realm. "So that's what you're after? You really overestimate yourself." The white-robed, middle-aged man sneered and looked in the direction of the Blue Cloud Hall. Ever since Azure Cloud Palace returned from the Tianfeng Conference, it had been in seclusion. The white-robed man muttered, "After so many years, I've searched everywhere in the Chaos region, except for the Blue Cloud Hall. This time, I'll go to the Blue Cloud Hall. Find that sword. Draconis, you must die." "Who?" In the blink of an eye, the white-robed, middle-aged man's whole body flickered. Then, he streaked across the sky like a human-shaped giant sword. Ever since the Overlord Soul Sect was accepted into the Imperial Heavenly Palace, the secluded place that used to be as tranquil as still water suddenly became lively. The 3 peaks in the middle and the Archkay Lake, where the outer disciples lived, were all packed to the brim. After sending everyone off, Tang Wang returned to the Bawang sect early. On the demon-subduing sect side, Merciless West finally chose the 3 great demons to guard the demon-subduing sect. He brought Impermanence Fairy and Yangming back to the Bawang sect. Another day passed. It had been almost 3 months since Su Yi was swept into the space-time storm. At night, a light mist spread over the branches. The hazy moonlight sprinkled down a clear radiance. The surrounding night was alluring, but it couldn't stir up the restless mood of the crowd. "Why isn't that kid back yet?" Impermanence Fairy, who had always been calm, walked back and forth on the high platform under the moonlight. A trace of worry flashed across her eyes. Merciless West was also dejected. He still didn't believe that Su Yi would meet with any mishap. Gulp! He angrily pulled out the lid of a wine pot. His dazed eyes were somewhat sober, and a chill could be seen in the gaps of his teeth. So many difficulties have passed, but something just had to happen at this critical juncture. I don't believe it. That kid's luck is so poor. Shaking his head resolutely, Xu Wuqing looked at the huge square. It was empty and desolate. In the cold night, a whistling sound of a snake flashed. "Oh, well." 2 voices, one black and one white, came through. It was the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Twin Nether. Green Emperor's long and narrow eyes flashed with a trace of light, like a green gem shining in the dark night. "Lord Consecrator, Impermanence Fairy." Impermanence Fairy shook her frost-covered shawl. Her eyes were full of worry as she whispered, "Any news?" Green Emperor was slightly absent-minded. He then shook his head and said, "There's no news of Master yet. The demon-subduing sect hasn't made any moves in the past 2 days. However, many new faces have appeared in the Chaos Zone recently." "Oh." Merciless West's face was filled with killing intent. He faintly curled his lips and looked at the floating clouds in the sky. Yingming nodded. His gaze shifted as he said, doubtfully, "Not only are there many new faces, even many of the second-rate sects that have submitted to us have begun to become restless, especially the Heavenly Dipper sect and 9-Star Valley." Xu Wuqing shouted as he rubbed his chin. Ever since he had entered the new Origin Ancestor realm, his originally weathered face had become much younger. He immediately shouted, "Let's go." Knowing that the kid isn't here, they're starting to stir up trouble again. I don't care about them, but they're jumping in front of me. Clowns shouldn't be left alive. Smack! Merciless West's voice was like a ferocious beast coming out of the mountains. He drank the last mouthful of sweet wine and angrily threw the wine gourd on the ground. Everyone frowned. Even Merciless West, who had always been addicted to wine, threw the gourd away. It seemed that he was really angry. Wuqing, these ants chose to attack the Bawang sect at this time. There must be something behind this. We have to be careful. Green Emperor said in a low voice. That's right. Today, I feel that the dragon aura on my body has changed. The Long family might be here too. Merciless West wiped his mouth. Flames flew out from his dry palm, causing the space to ripple instantly. That's good. Let the Long family apologize to Su Yi. We're not afraid of him. After a moment of silence, Xu Wuqing took a deep breath. It was not as if he did not understand the principle of being flustered and anxious. He then said in a low voice, "Remember to keep the army's plan a secret. Don't let anyone know about it. Nine-Star Valley is not afraid. Ask Elder Lei to adjust the 10,000 demons, refining deity array, and make preparations. Next, we're going to be serious. It's time to clean up the Chaos region." Green Emperor immediately obeyed. Merciless West's cold words were left behind. Fight! The Bawang sect is not afraid. If you want to fight, fight until the world shakes. Fight until the universe is unparalleled. Don't embarrass the brat. Yes, the three of them were overwhelmed with emotions. Flames suddenly rose in their eyes. The Bawang sect, without Su Yi, still had a soul. Chapter 1977. Three Crow Region. Half a month had passed since the first attempt to return to the Sky Barbarian continent. 1.5 months was equivalent to 3 full months in the Sky Barbarian continent. Su Yi did not know about this. He left the Golden Flame King's nest and walked along a secluded mountain path. He searched for traces of barbarian beasts and focused on his cultivation. One day, Duanmu Qingtian followed the tracks left behind by the Golden Flame King and arrived at a desert. Under the scorching sun, all the water in one's body would evaporate if one stood on the ground for a second. There was sand and rocks, and not even a blade of grass grew. In an environment where there was an extreme lack of water, even the wind was dry. The yellow sand stretched for thousands of miles, and the golden sun shone brightly. Duanmu Qingtian stood at the top of the desert and looked ahead. Not far away, vital energy whistled and rampaged. The sound of vital energy rushing through the air shattered the fragile space. At this moment, Su Yi was completely naked. Small beads of sweat appeared on his body, but they turned into mist and dissipated. After half a month without sleep and rest, Su Yi's body was tanned to a healthy wheat color. Under his translucent skin, dragon-like tattoos opened and closed, vivid and lifelike. The roar of a dragon shook the sky, and the aura of the Origin Supreme technique filled the air. Su Yi punched out, and an earth-shattering pillar of vital energy shot out from his fingers. Suddenly, a demonic blood lizard was sent flying into the sky and turned into a cloud of blood mist. Boom! The corpse fell to the ground and trembled. Su Yi shook his hands, and his eyes shone with determination. Take a rest. You have been working so hard for half a month. Do you want to die? I am not enough. Completely not enough. Su Yi's eyes were bloodshot, and his aura was pushed to the maximum. He gritted his teeth and looked back. Unable to return to the Sky Barbarian continent as he wished, Su Yi's eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. The light on his palms did not stop. He used the Fuyao 100 transformation steps and shuttled back and forth among the barbarian beasts. The thunderous voice resounded through the void, and the entire space began to tremble. The Golden Fire Beast King, who was standing at the side, felt his soul tremble. The young man in front of him had gone through more than half a month of continuous tempering. He was like a wild beast that had completely occupied the clan's land. Half of the land in the space-time mezzanine had been conquered by Su Yi. Along the way, within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, corpses and severed limbs could be seen everywhere. The yellow sand dunes were soaked in blood, and the white clouds floating in the sky seemed to be dyed scarlet. Many barbaric beasts would hide far away when they detected Su Yi's scent. Their eyes were filled with fear as they growled. At this time, Su Yi was holding the blood demon-killing god sword tightly with both hands. The weight of hundreds of thousands of kilograms was held in his hands like a soft feather. Over the past half a month, Su Yi had been carrying the blood demon-killing god sword on his back when he was cultivating. He was already extremely familiar with the use of the sword and had reached the acme of perfection. His physical strength had surpassed that of a demon venerable. When he turned into a ferocious beast in human form, His explosive power was unimaginable. Even without the Demon Emperor battle armor, an ordinary origin ancestor would not be able to do anything to Su Yi. After many days of continuous cultivation, Su Yi's body was riddled with injuries. At the same time, his cultivation base had also improved by leaps and bounds. In just over 10 days, Su Yi had consecutively challenged 1 to 200 demon venerable realm experts in the space-time mezzanine. Now, he had already reached the second level of the origin ancestor realm. Under the golden sun, Su Yi resisted the demonic aura of the barbaric beasts. Discovering the location of the barbaric beasts also allowed Su Yi's soul strength to reach the highest level of cultivation. Now, Su Yi's soul cultivation had already reached the advanced 4th grade. The ferocious aura was like the birth of an ancient demon. Terrifying soul tremors seeped out from Su Yi's dark eyes and spread silently. Su Yi's improvement was abnormal. The Golden Fire Beast King and Duanmu Qingtian followed behind quietly, not having a chance to make a move. The Duanmu Qingtian stared at Su Yi, who was still walking into the distance. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth lifted and he laughed involuntarily. "Do whatever you want." Soon, monstrous roars of beasts could be heard from the depths of the desert. The powerful aura of the Origin Supreme technique was endless. That is the lair of the demonic blood lizard. "Senior Duanmu, should we go in?" The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes were trembling. The demonic aura in the air was surging, and the smell of blood filled their nostrils. The Duanmu Qingtian slowly floated down the desert and walked at the back. He smiled and said, "This kid's character can't be changed even with 9 bowls. Perhaps this period of time will be a good opportunity for him to improve by leaps and bounds." He crossed his arms and looked at Su Yi fighting in the desert. Terrifying roars resounded through the sky, and the roars of dragons could be heard. He was invincible. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. Su Yi had been in the space mezzanine of the Three Ravens region for 2 whole months. During this period, Su Yi had injected Yuan Qi into the Domain Pearl countless times, but there was still no reaction from the Domain Pearl. Failure after failure made him feel dispirited. A moment of disappointment, in the blink of an eye, stimulated the determination in his heart. Regardless of whether it was killing those of a higher level or those of the same level, Su Yi put in 10 times more effort than usual, using all the training and cultivation methods he could think of. During the day, under the blazing sun, Su Yi would find various Demon Grandmaster and Demon Domain level barbarian demons to fight. At night, he would bury himself in the sand and be roasted by the earth core fire. At the same time, with the help of the spirit liquid and monster cores, the remaining 20 over Demon Grandmaster monster cores were all refined in just a few months. Even the Golden Fire beasts from before were all eaten and drunk. Under the faint moonlight, the night wind carried a hint of blood. The bonfire lingered, and the crackling wooden branches jumped in front of him. Sparks flew, and the flesh of the barbarian demons was still roasting on them. Sitting beside the fire, Su Yi opened the mysterious space and sat with his legs bent. His hands were forming mysterious and complicated hand seals. Slowly closing his eyes, Su Yi's supreme origin technique fluctuated continuously. Ripples surged in the air, and a dignified and majestic aura spread out from his body. Boom! Su Yi felt that he was about to break through again. Countless pillars of light shone from the sky and surrounded Su Yi. The space in front of him was dazzling. Divine light poured down from the sky and enveloped Su Yi. The terrifying aura was like a gift from God, dazzling and eye-catching. The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King were sitting at the side, enjoying the roasted meat of the barbarian demons. When they saw the situation in front of them, they quickly retreated. Crossing his hands, the Duanmu Qingtian looked calm. He raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "Is he going to break through again?" Buzz. Golden light flowed. The dragon pattern turned into a long dragon-shaped light circle and rushed to the sky. The mysterious astrolabe appeared above his head. The Duanmu Qingtian was used to such a scene. His eyes were calm, but there was a smile on his face. When Su-yi opened his eyes again, there was an unprecedented calmness in his eyes. Turbid air came out from his throat, and his body was glowing. Chapter 1978. Third Level Origin Ancestor. Finally, Third Level Origin Ancestor. Su-yi's eyes flickered slightly as a satisfied smile appeared on his face. In half a month, he had actually risen by 2 levels in the Origin Ancestor realm. If there was a martial artist beside him, their jaws would have dropped. If anyone knew that Su-yi had not only broken through the shackles of the Origin Ancestor realm, but had also risen rapidly by relying on his own strength after coming to the space-time mezzanine, they would be horrified and ashamed of their own inferiority. As he quickly stood up, the aura and energy in the air gradually dissipated. The barbaric demon beasts hiding in the depths of the desert gradually fled into the distance, their roars echoing in the sky. Moonlight poured down and shone on Su-yi's bronze skin. Su-yi's figure suddenly became imposing and powerful, and the aura emanating from his pores was fierce and terrifying. Chila, Su-yi, who was at the Origin Ancestor realm, had a cold look in his eyes. With a push of his palm, the bounded pearl flew to his chest as he shouted, "Open, Buzz!" The aura of the Origin Supreme technique circulated, and a suffocating feeling surged out. A faint shadow of a golden dragon shot out from between his brows and completely enveloped the bounded pearl. The sound of high-speed rotation could be heard as the bounded pearl emitted a dazzling divine luster. The originally simple and white pearl was like a luminous pearl, dazzling and condensing. Boom! As if the heavens and earth had sensed it, lightning energy flashed between the clouds. The 3 of them simultaneously understood that this was a sign that the bounded pearl was reacting. Grand Master, Old Gold, entered the mysterious space. Let's try again. Su-yi exchanged glances with the other 2. Without further delay, Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King flashed into the space. Remember to take out the box of crystals the moment you enter, Duanmu Qingtian reminded them. Under the faint moonlight, the atmosphere was dense. The faint white mist was blown away by a wisp of fire. The barbaric demon beasts that had been hibernating stretched their necks to look at the sudden change. Standing back on the space-time point, the Golden Flames array was still glowing, and the terrifying energy storm swept over like a hurricane once again. With a shake of his arm, Su-yi took out the domain pearl once again. Supported by his energy, the pearl was surrounded by a circle of crystal boxes, looking round and bright. Su-yi took a deep breath and activated the light. In the next second, the realm zone pearl shone brightly and erupted with an intimidating energy. The seaweed was covered by a white halo, and the whole world was as bright as day. At the end of the white halo, there was finally a pitch-black crack. Thunder roared and lightning flashed. Arcs of light flickered high up in the sky. A rumbling sound resounded out of nowhere. Immediately, astral winds blew in this world. Hoochie! Within the crack that appeared in an instant, the deep blackness was like a huge mouth that could swallow all living things in the world. It's finally starting. The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Flame Beast King's eyes flickered as their hearts surged. They never thought that this moment would come so suddenly. After so many years, the Duanmu Qingtian could finally step on the soil of the Tian barbarian continent. The passing clouds seemed to have reappeared yesterday, and his eyes turned red. Facing the drastic changes in the sky, the Golden Flame Beast King's eyes narrowed, and a few flames jumped out of his eyes. Following Su-yi back to the Tian barbarian continent meant that he would start a new life as a beast, conquering the Tian barbarian continent and becoming a paragon. In an instant, the mysterious light ball shone brightly, and the majestic aura seemed to be connected to the ancient world. An ancient aura filled the air, and Su-yi's body was gradually controlled by the mysterious runes that surrounded him. Above the sky, unlike ordinary space tunnels, there was a patch of white divine light within the pitch-black crack. At the end of the divine light, there were carved beams and painted rafters, and the light was sacred. At the end of time, it emitted a mysterious glow. Of course, Su Yi recognized it. That was the 10 Jade Building. Activate the Domain Pearl and enter the 10 Jade Building. Prepare the crystals. Activate the Heaven Barbarian Continent. Su Yi said to himself. His body floated like a carp leaping over the dragon's gate. Light flashed, and a shadow flashed as he headed toward the 10 Jade Building. Roar! The space-time storm, which could tear everything apart, locked onto Su Yi's position as soon as Su Yi entered. Buzz! His soul trembled, and a trace of fear flashed past his eyes. Su Yi frowned instantly. In such a space-time storm, Su Yi felt that his soul and body were both injured. Hiss! A faint golden dragon's power was released. In the deep sky, a golden dragon soared into the sky, and a dragon's roar shook heaven and earth. It was domineering and destructive. Su Yi's eyes flickered, and his hands formed a seal at lightning speed. The Origin Supreme technique seemed to be connected to heaven and earth, and a majestic killing intent surged. Go! A loud roar came from Su Yi's body. Su Yi waved his hand, and a large amount of red light surged out. Dazzling flames poured down and collided with the violent storm that destroyed everything in the surrounding space. Under the bombardment of the fire attribute light pillars, the entire space was filled with sharp sonic booms. The space also trembled in an instant. Darkness surged like a tide, and ripples surged towards the end of the boundless space. Waves of monstrous aura burst out from Su Yi's body, but it still couldn't resist the storm's devouring power. There was a muffled breathing sound, and blood splattered into the sky. Su Yi, who was stepping on the void, was suddenly hit by a violent astral wind. Immediately, Su Yi felt that his internal organs were tangled together. The light of the divine black spiritual meridians dimmed, and a large amount of blood and sweetness surged up again. His speed suddenly slowed down, and Su Yi's body's essence, qi, rapidly withered. His face was as pale as snow, and his legs trembled. His limbs felt an unprecedented tearing sensation. Brat, can you still do it? In the mysterious space, Duanmu Qingtian could still feel the tyrannical and destructive energy fluctuations in the surrounding space. The surrounding space was collapsing inch by inch along with the whistling wind blades. Compared to the last time he came, the space-time storm was much more violent. So, when I came, I experienced such a terrifying storm. Su Yi's lips curled up, and his face quickly turned pale. He slowly wiped the corners of his mouth and executed the Fuyao 100 transformation steps to the extreme. Lightning flashed, and a heart-palpitating sound came again. Su Yi was like a human-shaped bird of prey, and he sprinted forward. As he got closer to the 10 Jade restaurant, the space-time storm seemed to be unwilling to let Su Yi succeed. The wind blades that filled the sky tore Su Yi's body apart. Countless small wounds were covered in blood, and the golden light patterns and flames were wrapped in a thick black color. The essence qi in Su Yi's body was being depleted at a terrifying speed. Hold it in. Hold it in. I want to return to Skyman. Su Yi gritted his teeth, and his eyes were red. His gaze was as firm as the sea, and his hands were clenched into fists. He continuously shuttled through the layers of the space-time storm. From afar, Su Yi was like a sea swallow fighting against the wind and waves, and he welcomed the new blazing sun amidst the flashing lightning and rolling thunder. Boom! When the 10 Jade building was right in front of his eyes, Su Yi stretched his hands forward, and a vast aura of destruction came from the sky. Like a giant python, a demonic wind gushed out violently, and the space was instantly distorted. When the gust of wind expanded in his eyes, Su Yi felt that his life was in danger for the first time. When it was close, Su Yi's Yuan Qi had already been depleted. Even the few drops of mysterious spirit fire liquid left behind by the Origin Ancestor realm had disappeared. Is this the end? An ethereal voice resounded in the darkness of the netherworld, as if Su Yi was asking himself. Chapter 1979. For months passed in the blink of an eye. The focus of the Tian barbarian continent shifted from the Heavenly Wind ranking tournament to the Heavenly Barbarian continent. The 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean began to regain their former peace. However, no one knew about the restlessness of the aristocratic families. Su Yi, the new king of Heaven's Pride, quickly became a peerless talent in the Tian barbarian continent. He severely injured the Long family's young palace master, became the number 1 person in Heavenly Wind, and shattered the Heavenly Wind Jade Annulus. His various deeds began to be talked about enthusiastically. In a certain winding mountain range, spiritual birds and auspicious beasts hid among them. There were countless exotic flowers and precious herbs. 9 Saints Peak. The mountain range was tall and green. In the spring, hundreds of flowers bloomed like a shy young girl. Only the people of the Saint Mountain knew that the peerless, fairy-like 9th Holy Maiden had not left her home for 4 months. During this period, countless attendants, deacons, and even the saint had personally come to look for Lu Ruashi. Lu Ruashi's uniform reply was that she did not want to see them. Only Lu Ruashi knew that she was waiting for someone who would come to pick her up. Outside the window, birds were circling the clouds. Pairs of bird beasts let out joyful cries as they flew freely between heaven and earth, spreading their wings and flying. In this small world, Lu Ruashi did not know how many times she had seen through the autumn waters and how many clouds she had seen. However, she was still unwilling to give up. She changed into a bright red palace dress and looked at the auspicious clouds that glowed with golden light. The multicolored light in the distance was like rouge on a young girl's face. Today was the last day of her appointment with the saint. It was the deadline of 4 months. It was also the day of the competition between the 5th Holy Sun and the Great Holy Sun to determine the next Saint Emperor and the new Saint Venerable, Lu Ruashi. Lu Ruashi's slender, jade-like fingers clung to the wooden window frame. Under the golden light, Lu Ruashi's skin was translucent and translucent. She was absolutely beautiful, and her figure was soft and boneless. Every single inch of her body was moving. Under her elegant red dress, it outlined an incomparably moving and beautiful curve that would cause the heart of any man in the world to speed up and the fire in their heart to surge. The current Lu Ruashi was absolutely beautiful. The current Lu Ruashi was filled with despair. Lu Ruashi clutched at the window with all her strength until her knuckles turned a faint purple. She did not let go of the window. Her eyes shone with an indescribable sorrow and disappointment. Will Su Yi come today? Even Lu Ruashi herself felt that her words were a little unreal. Within 4 months, she had thought about this countless times in her heart. Su Yi's promise to marry her was still ringing in her ears. She let out a bitter laugh as her delicate body trembled for no reason. Even though she was beautiful today, her cheeks could not hide her pale face. Dong dong. A crisp knock on the door shattered Wu Yan's dejection. An old and cautious voice slowly drifted through the curtains. 9th Holy Maiden, the competition has begun. The welcoming team had already arrived at the entrance. This old man, Lu Ruashi, couldn't be more familiar with this voice. Uncle Guan was her serving elder. After entering the sacred mountain, Uncle Guan was the one who took care of her daily life. In the past few months, Uncle Guan had also been dealing with the Holy Sage, the elders, the 1st Holy Sun, and the 5th Holy Sun for her. Not only did she look haggard, Uncle Guan also looked like he had aged by more than 10 years. Is there any news about him? Lu Ruashi muttered in a low voice. There was no reply from outside the door. Uncle Guan lowered his voice and said, I have already sent a letter to the Bawang sect. This is all this old man can do. I understand, Uncle Guan. Give me a moment. I will go right away. There was a long silence outside the door. Through the curtains, a stooped voice could be heard trembling with joy. All right, miss. I will go and prepare now. Uncle Guan. Lu Ruashi's voice was as soft as the wind. There was a hint of tenacity in it. Uncle Guan turned around. Lu Ruashi shook her long robe, and some light flashed. She was no longer as weak as before. Ever since I was young, other than the holy sage, the sacred mountain has treated me the best. You have worked hard for the past few months. Uncle Guan smiled deeply. His figure was not tall, but he was like a father. His eyes were filled with relief and pain, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Saintess, what are you saying? It's just that. Why do you like that person? As soon as he finished speaking, he let out a long sigh, and the sound of footsteps gradually fading away could be heard. Lu Ruashi, who was sitting in the elegant room, blinked her long eyelashes. She walked to the side of the bed. Under the pillow, there was a saint weapon with 2 hooks shining with golden light. Yuan Qi whistled in her hand, and the saint weapon turned into a light shadow. Lu Ruashi held it tightly in her hand, and it disappeared in an instant. During this period of time, Lu Ruashi, who was dispirited, had been facing this saint weapon day and night. As long as she was free, she would cultivate in the elegant room. Lu Ruashi's and Suyi's twin hooks were already connected to each other, reaching the realm of telepathy. They caressed the cold glint of their blades and merged them together. It was like a golden crescent moon, sharp and piercing. Hold it. It's like having him by your side. Lu Ruashi felt as if the determined young man who stepped forward bravely to protect her was right in front of her eyes. She put away the saint weapon with a cold smile on her face. She had already thought it through. No matter what the outcome of today's competition was, she would not let the Xiahong house get her if the 5th Holy Sun won. If the 1st Holy Sun won, she would immediately cut her own throat. Lu Ruashi looked up at the misty spiritual mountain in the distance. She looked at the place she had lived for more than 10 years, and reluctance flashed in her eyes. She pushed open the door and left with her red palace robe fluttering behind her. In the open space in front of the Saintess Peak, there was a huge golden unicorn with ferocious eyes. Its entire body was suffused with golden light, and it looked like a hibernating hill in the midst of the lofty mountains. There were a total of 9 golden unicorns. 4 of them were sent by the 1st saint, the other 4 were sent by the 5th saint, and the one in the middle was the Holy Maiden Peak's own unicorn. 9th Holy Daughter, over here. The 1st Holy Sun invites you. A white-haired old man's sharp voice was very ear-piercing. Lu Ruashi knew that he was the 1st Holy Sun's direct elder. Lu Ruashi glanced at the old man indifferently, and a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. She turned around and saw a familiar figure in the corner of the 5th Holy Sun's golden unicorn. It was a woman with a hot figure and beautiful hair that draped over her shoulders. She looked valiant, and her pretty face was sparkling like jade. Although she was not as beautiful as Lu Ruashi, she had a natural wildness. Her fluttering eyelashes revealed a different kind of pride. Senior Sister Li Ling? Lu Ruashi's breathing suddenly turned heavy as she walked toward Li Ling. Li Ling blushed, and embarrassment made her eyes flicker. She said timidly, Junior sister, long time no see." Lu Ruashi frowned. Of course, she knew about Li Ling's feelings for the Xiahong house. Even a fool could see it. Could the Xiahong house not see it? "Why are you here?" Lu Ruashi asked. Li Ling seemed to have been enlightened. She raised her head and said with a trembling voice, "Ninth Holy Daughter, congratulations. You are about to become a holy venerate. You will even become his woman." The boundless pain turned into sparkling tears, instantly destroying Lu Ruashi's determination. Chapter 1980. All of a sudden, Lu Ruashi's curvaceous chest heaved up and down as a glimmer of light flickered in her eyes. "You know everything?" Lu Ruashi did not dare to look at Li Ling. She knew that Li Ling had been in love with the Xiahong house since she was young and had mentioned it many times. Every time Li Ling mentioned the name of the Xiahong house, her eyes would sparkle. Lu Ruashi was still moved when she thought of Su Yi, the determined and proud young man who stood in the teeth of the storm and challenged an ancient aristocratic family. Li Ling curled her lips and sighed as she held the reins of her golden unicorn and tried her best to hide the awkwardness in her heart. Only the 9th holy maiden is worthy of the 5th holy sun in the entire sacred mountain. Li Ling is already content to be able to be favored by the sacred venerate and stay by the 5th holy sun's side. Lu Ruashi noticed that Li Ling's beautiful eyelashes fluttered with bitterness and sadness. The sadness in her heart could not be concealed no matter what. Lu Ruashi pursed her red lips as a faint blush appeared on her face. Senior sister Li Ling, no one can take him away from me. He's mine, and I swear to take him back. Lu Ruashi's eyes were cold, but they were filled with determination. Li Ling, who was standing at the side, looked up and cried out, "Junior sister, what did you just say?" Lu Ruashi, who was originally quiet and focused on martial arts, was actually so unyielding. It was beyond Li Ling's expectations. Li Ling fell into deep silence. Lu Ruashi shook her head and whispered something in Li Ling's ear. Li Ling's beautiful eyes widened as she looked around and shouted, "You can't do that, junior sister." Even the sacred venerate would not agree to take such a risk. Lu Ruashi's eyes were as cold as frost as she stared at the flustered Li Ling. The corners of her mouth curled up into an indifferent smile as she carelessly caressed the double-hook saint artifact that Su Yi had given her. "I don't want to regret it, and I don't want senior sister Li Ling to hate me for the rest of your life." Lu Ruashi's eyes were as clear as water with a few cold icicles. For golden unicorns lined up on either side of the carriage. They were the people sent by the great saint and the 5th saint. The golden unicorn was as big as a small mountain. It was dazzling and had a huge body. Its beastly eyes released a ferocious aura. Its huge front claws kept rubbing back and forth on the ground, gradually forming small pits. Beast roars filled the sky, causing the spirit birds in the distance to jump and the auspicious beasts to fly away. The majestic roars of the beasts resounded throughout the entire forest. In a split second, the birds and beasts all moved. The sun hung high in the sky, and the dazzling rays of light left many mottled spots of light on the small open space. "It's done. It is getting late. 9th holy daughter, don't waste the time." The elder on the 1st holy sun's side shouted as he looked up at the sky. When he saw Lu Ruashi and the 5th holy sun's personal maidservant chatting happily, the elder's expression changed drastically. A trace of viciousness appeared on his withered face. "That's right, 9th holy maiden, you're the next holy sovereign. Don't lower your status." The other 3 elders sneered at the same time. Whoosh! Lu Ruashi immediately turned around. Cold lightning flashed in her eyes, and a heart-palpitating energy spread out. The 4 elders' faces twitched at the same time, and they remained silent. "Since I am the holy sovereign, I will not allow you to gossip here on 9 Saints Peak. I did not ask you to wait here. If you are impatient, scram back to where you came from." "Yes." The vulgar elder shook his long robe. Flames burned in his eyes when he heard this. "Elder Ling, don't cause trouble. Since the 9th holy maiden is not afraid of delay, what are we afraid of?" "That's right, Elder Ling. We are here to welcome the new holy sovereign, not to cause trouble." Lu Ruashi narrowed her eyes. She knew that the elder on the 1st holy sun's side was implying something. Previously, she had heard from Uncle Guan that the 1st holy sun was indulgent and extravagant. He was also dissatisfied that the holy sovereign had chosen her as the next holy sovereign. Rumors had already spread in the holy mountain that if the 9th holy maiden still had second thoughts after becoming the holy sovereign, she would be crippled. I didn't expect the 1st holy sun to be so powerful even before he became the new holy emperor. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that he had already led the holy mountain to the peak of the martial way. The elder on the 5th holy sun side was not to be outdone. Within the sacred mountain, the rivalry between the 1st holy sun and the 5th holy sun had reached a point where neither side was willing to give an inch. The 5th holy sun had been in seclusion ever since he returned from the Tianfeng ranking tournament. He had never come out, but he was extremely concerned about the holy mountain. He was no longer as oblivious to the holy mountain's matters as before. This caused many of the holy mountain's indecisive elders to stand on the Xiahong house's side once again. Yuchi Changfeng's notoriety had spread far and wide. As for why the holy flame still supported him, most people believe that it was because of his bloodline. The Xiahong house had been brought back from the chaos realm by the holy sovereign, and the mystery of their origins had not been explained to everyone. This was something that a sect like the Holy Mountain would not allow. Don't talk about it anymore. Lu Ruashi frowned and glared fiercely at the first Holy Sun's elder. She gently grasped Li Ling's hands and nodded. Then, she walked towards Uncle Guan's golden unicorn. Uncle Guan, let's go. Let's go on our own mounts. Uncle Guan had already signed the reins. His eyes were overflowing with joy as he nodded heavily. He handed the reins to Lu Ruashi and said in a low voice, "Ninth holy daughter, this old man will not go. Your mother has also rushed over from the barbarian city for this holy mountain tournament. It is a grand occasion for the entire central continent. All the major sects have gathered at the holy mountain." Uncle Guan's turbid pupils suddenly contracted. He glanced at the elders on both sides, and his voice became softer and softer. Lu Ruashi had a pure heart and was naturally clear that Uncle Guan wanted to tell her that today's grand competition was of great importance. Even Lu Zongyuan had come, so she had to consider her every move and action carefully and not do anything rash. Lu Ruashi's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. Her beautiful face turned cold, but the light in her eyes did not diminish. "I know, Uncle Guan. Ruashi thanks you again." After saying that, Lu Ruashi took the reins and stroked the razor-sharp feathers of the golden unicorn under her feet. With a flip, she mounted the golden unicorn. Her red robe fluttered behind her, and her appearance was absolutely beautiful. "Senior sister, we will meet at the sacred martial hall." A stream of light flew across the sky. The golden unicorn roared, and its iron-like saws lightly stepped on the ground behind it and disappeared into the clouds. The first Holy Sun and the fifth Holy Sun's elders looked at each other. Their faces were extremely ugly, and their expressions were complicated. It was as if they were saying, Lu Ruashi did not choose Yuchi Changfeng nor the Xiahong house. What was she planning? Chapter 1981. Junior Sister. Worry and concern crept onto Li Ling's face as she pursed her lips and mounted the golden unicorn. The first Holy Sun glared fiercely at the direction Lu Ruashi disappeared in. With a command, the four of them shot into the sky at the same time. "Let's go. Today, all the heroes of the Central Continent are here, and this is comparable to the Sacred Martial Assembly. I don't think this lass will be able to create any waves." In the Barbarian Demon Forest, near the Barbarian Demon Grand Canyon. Chila. The sky seemed to have split open and a black crack extended out. A terrifying building that pierced through the clouds suddenly appeared. Anyone who had participated in the Heavenly Wind ranking tournament would definitely know that this was the legendary 10 Jade Pavilion that would only appear once every 60 years. Terrifying waves of air surged and swept out. A boundless aura that seemed to have transcended the primordial times spread out in all directions. It was as if a huge wave was crashing into the entire Barbarian Demon Canyon. Bang! Countless barbarian demon beasts in the forest roared as they ran for their lives. Immediately, the sounds of people running for their lives could be heard everywhere. Roar! Rumble! The low and deep sound of explosions resounded like a string of cannons. The dense barbarian demon forest shook and the branches swayed. The desolate barbarian demon Grand Canyon was shaken by the flying sand and rocks. What is that? The eyes of the armored flying ant that was using the beast language flickered as it looked at the 10 Jade Pavilion that bordered the sky in the distance. Its eyes were filled with horror. There were a few barbarian demon beasts at the side who were crawling on the ground and trembling. The ferocious aura was like that of a demon venerable descending into the world. The barbarian demon beasts' souls throbbed, and they did not dare to raise their heads to look at it. Let's go. Return to Azure Water City and report to Demon Emperor Akatsuki. Chi-Chi. The metallic wings on the back of the barbarian demon beasts spun rapidly, and the group of barbarian demon beasts fled in different directions under the pressure of the 10 Jade Pavilion. On a dangerous peak in the barbarian demon forest, a few rogue cultivators looked at Ling Tian's 10 Jade Pavilion, and their eyes almost popped out. Was that old Saber? A shifty-eyed, greasy-faced cultivator patted a cultivator who was meditating by the side. The meditating warrior's body was like a water bucket. His beard and hair were curly and unrestrained. He raised his head to look at the 10 Jade building in the sky unwillingly and then fell down from the high ground. His eyes were like torches, and his eyes were wide open. He had also never heard of such a strange phenomenon appearing in the sky. The moment the 10 Jade Pavilion appeared, the cultivators felt like their throats were being choked and their souls were suppressed. They hurriedly circulated their origin chi, and with a look of panic. "What are you still standing? Go, and report to those lords who came to Barbarian City a few days ago. Saber, 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 saber." The moment he said that, the rogue cultivators dashed out of the barbarian demon forest like the wind. They ran extremely fast and didn't want to get close to the 10 Jade Pavilion. Barbarian demon forest, near Barbarian City. There were also 2 rogue cultivators who were dressed normally and had the word shadow carved on them. The moment they saw the 10 Jade Pavilion, they dashed towards it. Rumble! A ray of light slowly descended from the top of the 10 Jade Pavilion and was enveloped by a layer of light. In the ray of light, there was a green-robed man lying on the ground. He was completely naked, and his face was as pale as blood with small wounds all over his body. While the wounds had already formed scabs, they still looked terrifying. As the ray of light gradually descended, the figure inside became clearer. His face was like a sculpture with maturity and vicissitudes of life. He was arrogant and lonely with a trace of childishness between his brows. Who else could it be other than Sui? Pung Pung. The 10 Jade Tower towered into the sky, its light and shadow constantly dissipating, and its aura was also gradually declining. However, after Sui was completely and gently placed on the ground, the 10 Jade Tower completely disappeared into the vast horizon. Tis tis. Space rippled as if a bolt of lightning had struck the ground, following which Sui lay on the ground without any consciousness. His aura was weak, and he was unconscious. 2 rays of light floated out from between Sui's brows. The rays of light distorted the space and caused the space in front of him to crumble. The Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King walked out of the ray of light and looked at Sui on the ground. The Golden Fire Beast King spoke softly. "It has been hard on Master to resist the space-time storm with the body of an origin ancestor." The Golden Fire Beast King's eyes flickered as he recalled the various dangerous situations in the space-time tunnel. The Duanmu Qingtian also shook his head. His eyes were frozen and filled with lingering fear. This was an absolute risk. If Sui could not hold on, both he and the Golden Fire Beast King would have perished. Buzz! In the next second, another ray of light shot out from between Sui's brows. Upon closer look, it was actually a hunchbacked old man. He was hale and hearty, and his white beard was almost dragging on the ground. Every strand of his beard was filled with medicinal and spiritual energy. The fragrance was so fragrant that it made one drool. He had a benevolent face, but there was a domineering aura that looked down on the world. The aura of a demon emperor flowed out. "Grandpa Ginseng, it's all thanks to you this time." The Golden Fire Beast King hurriedly cupped his hands and thanked the old man. Grandpa Ginseng looked at the Duanmu Qingtian and the Golden Fire Beast King before looking at Sui on the ground. "I have received too much help from this lad. It was originally impossible for me to successfully break through to the Demon Emperor realm." After saying that, their eyes lit up at the same time. The Duanmu Qing Tian sighed softly as he recalled the final dash in the space-time storm. I still underestimated the power of the crimson heavenly crystal. Even if this lad has such a mysterious power, he could not unleash even 1% of the crimson heavenly crystal's power. Coincidentally, it was all thanks to Grandpa Ginseng transcending the heavenly tribulation and saving Su Yi. The blood jade spirit Ginseng's beard fluttered in the wind as his eyes trembled. He said in shock, "The last heavenly tribulation almost destroyed my body and soul. It was all thanks to this kid's mysterious space. This time, I'm also gambling. Fortunately, I won, and so did this lad. This lad was just lucky." Sigh. It was shocking and dangerous. But I'm finally back. The Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were burning, and his eyes were filled with pride. A fierce look flashed across his face. This was the first time in decades that the Duanmu Qingtian stood on the Tianyin continent. He could stand upright and not be restrained by others. At the side, the Golden Fire Beast King looked as if he had discovered a new continent. He opened his fierce eyes and looked back and forth at this new world. The landscape was completely different from the Three Ravens region. It was a dense forest, and there was an endless sea of trees. The rich demonic aura and the thin heaven and earth spiritual energy formed a sharp contrast. The Golden Fire Beast King was extremely curious. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.